listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
I think this Midsummer Classic is in a fragile state right now, and there's a lot of concern within the sport because so many players are opting out of the game, whether it's to be scheduled in the final weekend on Saturday and Sunday, making them ineligible to pitch or making the choice not to pitch. I mean, in this All-Star game, Jacob Misiorowski, the guy everyone wants to see, he didn't pitch. Paul Skeens didn't pitch. Cam Schlittler, Aaron Judge was not there. Shohei Ohtani was not there. At Citizens Bank Park last night, a third of the stands had cleared out by the 8th inning. That is a concern for baseball to address as you move forward.
I don't know how you address it. I just know this. I will remember exactly one moment from last night's game. It had nothing to do with the game itself. Baseball's really good at this. They found a way to make it feel like family and like Americana during the baseball game last night. And that was with the Sandlot moment, Alex, where the kids come in on their bikes, they're standing around, the fireworks are going off, then you see the players come up from underneath in the dugout, they walk out to the field, they take their assembled spots, and now you've got guys playing catch with the fireworks in the backdrop. It was spectacular. Other than that, though, if you want to talk about the game itself, that's pretty much what it was. Yeah. It was a snooze fest. There was a whole lot of nothing. I know it's going to be remembered by some for the pitching. I mean, did you get excited about seeing Michael Wacha and Nick Martinez and Drew Rasmussen and somebody named Louis Varland? I mean, like, that ain't going to do it for me,
Was that the
big
Texas
guy.
Rangers reliever that we saw pitch one out, and I was like, oh, cool, welcome to the All-Star game?
No, that was
the Blue
Lats.
Jays, who had the lone triple-digit pitch from the AL.
Yeah, I'm not going to remember that. Let's be real. The guy that pitched the most innings yesterday was Robleski from the Dodgers, who I think a lot of people were like, really, we're doing the Robleski thing? That's what we're doing here?
The best pitcher got lit up for 3 runs.
Yeah.
I mean,
for
like,
sure.
That tells you everything. Like, that was the part for me. They had Pete Crow Armstrong, and he was saying, like, oh, this is baseball, and this is how great the pitching is. It's like, man, that would be true if I saw Cam Schlittler throwing, and if I saw Shohei Ohtani and Jacob Misiorowski and Paul Skeens. I don't know if you could say that with this. And Buster nailed it. Like, that's why it's boring. Hockey had this happen like 5 years ago to where Ovechkin said he wasn't going to it. Crosby said he was taking the day off. Like, if none of your best players, if the reason people watch baseball and love teams don't want to perform in your biggest game in season, then what are you trying to sell? Just give them the whole week off then, or take the All-Star game away and just make it a futures game.
There's just nothing you can do, though, for this with a pitching. Like, most of the hitters were there. The guys that were available, at least, they participated. They just didn't hit. And that happens with baseball. There's nothing you can do to make that different. Like, pitching's just that good across the sport right now. And we've seen some really good. Last year, the All-Star game was super memorable. The way that it came down to the swing off, all that. Like, we've seen some really good All-Star games recently. It's just a matter of if it's a hit or a miss that season in particular. Last year, we got to see Jacob Misiorowski in the All-Star game. People were mad about it, and then we watched it. We're like, that guy's amazing. And I'm so glad we got the opportunity to see him invited in the game. I don't think there's anything you can do as Major League Baseball. Guys are going to have starts that are a couple of days in advance of this game. And let's be real, they shouldn't be pitching in this game in the event that they start on Sunday or Saturday and this game is on Tuesday. That's not realistic to force them to go on 2 days rest. And you're not going to have a true 5 days off because the entire All-Star break is fewer than 5 days. So I don't think there's really anything Major League Baseball can do to quote-unquote fix the problem that it has with the All-Star game. I think the All-Star game is fine. I think last night was a dud. And sometimes you come across this where it's a bad game once every few seasons, and this was a really bad game last night. It was a bad representative of what Major League Baseball has to offer, which I believe is a hell of a product right now. I think the product is as good as it's been in a really, really long time. It just wasn't on display last night.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and you're probably right. Nothing changing it. To me, it's not fun. And even in past games where you said there's memorable moments, I don't know. I feel like they just disappear pretty quickly. And maybe
last year we loved it. Let's be real. We came on the next day and we said that was electric. They fixed the All-Star game.
Because you had the best players performing in it, like Mizorowski.
Because we had a moment. Because last year, wasn't that last year or was that 2 years ago that it was the swing off?
That was last year,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a moment from a year ago, and this year you didn't have that same moment. And that
I didn't even remember the swing off.
Yes, you did.
No, I'm legitimately, I don't remember. Was it because it was tied?
Yes.
I don't.
We came on the next day and said that was unbelievable. I couldn't believe how great of a moment that was. We can go back into the archive if you want. We had the same impression the following day.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's just the sticking ability. Like, it's not like I remember it a year later saying how incredible that All-Star game was.
And obviously, it was at the tail end as well. You were talking about a game that was last season pretty much devoid of memorable moments, aside from Mizorowski, too. And it goes to really the last decade or so. Think about it, guys. It's been one-way dominance. The American League in 11 of the past 13
I truly
games.
could not tell you who won what. That doesn't matter to me at all.
But if you don't have anything in the way of real offense, if you have these pitching dominant affairs, and now you're not even getting the biggest stars out there, that leads to the attitude we have.
Yeah, I think it's more of an example of there's nothing you could do with it. Like, these are what all-star games and all-star breaks are. It's why I think what the NHL did was great. I'll be fascinated to see what it looks like 3-4 years from now when you keep doing the Four Nations, and is it still enjoyable like it was that first time?
But doesn't Major League Baseball already have that with the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, and that would be my argument to put that right there, to put it in this week.
But you can't, because if the World Baseball Classic is this week, we're taking off for 2 to 3 weeks of baseball. And so, like, are we doing that? Are we all planning to take off for the next 2 to 3 weeks and then extend the season into November? I don't think you're doing that either. I think baseball's All-Star game is the best of all of the All-Star games. Do we agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that because all the other ones are miserable.
It's the closest approximation to the real game you have.
But
that's it.
But we're not talking about, like it's not like that's a low bar to clear. Or high bar to clear. Like, I don't even think this All-Star game is that enjoyable.
But I think most people enjoy it.
I think the incentives that it used to be, which I'm going to have like the hottest take that people are going to hate. I think when it was more incentivized for me was when the World Series was at stake. At least it kept me watching. When my team I felt like had a chance to win the World Series, I had something to invest in. Like, All-Star games just have nothing for me to invest in. And if your best players don't want to perform in it, why should I watch?
Like, who are the guys that aren't performing?
Mizorowski, Shohei Ohtani.
Because they can't. Like, they literally were unavailable yesterday. Shohei is, like, going through it right now. He's completely banged up. Mizorowski has just started. He would have loved, I bet you, to be on the mound yesterday. It just didn't work with his schedule, and he's not going to avoid taking a start at the end of the first half for his team in order to throw in the All-Star game. That's not realistic from anybody's perspective.
Night and day better than everybody else. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the players don't incentivize, like, I want to be at that All-Star game and perform.
There's no way to do it, though.
Well,
there's no way to incentivize that. For any sport, this is not just a baseball thing.
If Mizorowski doesn't want to skip a start to play in the All-Star game,
or if they should do that. If they did that, we would crush them. What are we talking about?
But what I'm saying is, why should I be invested in it if they're not? Like,
because
why
you've
should
got
I
the
get
best
excited?
hitters in the world. You don't have to be. I'm not telling you that you have to enjoy this, but like, the idea is this is as good of a collection of talent as you're going to be able to see on a baseball field in any given season. Now, where I think it's lost its luster a bit, and this is just the nature of baseball in 2026, really life in 2026, we're exposed to all of this every night. You can watch the best players in the world by just turning on the MLB TV app. And you can go watch Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani or Francisco Lindor or Juan Soto. Like, you can have them at your fingertips literally as the Cardinals are playing. You can watch that on your TV and have this on your tablet or your computer or your phone. And you can watch whoever you want, whenever you want. When baseball was like really selling its All-Star game, and I would say this is true for just about any sport, but especially baseball, which was always considered to be like the All-Star game, you couldn't see these guys other than maybe once or twice a year when they would come to your city, and that's it. And for a lot of the American League guys, like if you're a National League team, you literally never saw them. There wasn't interleague play the way that there is right now. You'd maybe see like the Royals versus the Cardinals. But that's kind of it. You'd see like a rivalry game. And so you never had the opportunity to watch Aaron Judge perform. And in the All-Star game, you'd have a chance to be able to see that guy. And it's like, oh, wow. It is so cool to have this opportunity to watch an American League player like Mike Trout or Junior Caminero or whoever your favorite is, Wilson Contreras, a former Cardinal who's now gone on to the American League. We can now just watch them whenever. So when you have that opportunity every night, it doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel unique. It's just another night of watching baseball. And I think that's probably, to me at least, the biggest ththing that's changed with Major League Baseball's All-Star Game is the access that we have away from the All-Star Game.
Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. It's such a letdown for how exciting the Home Run Derby is. For how much you get up versus how it ends. And that's just, to me, it's a weird thing to do when you're baseball, because like in other sports, when they have the skills competition, that's not all that exciting.
No.
And it's like you already have a letdown that goes into the next letdown. Like this one, you get so hyped up, and then it's just a complete dud. And baseball's in a great spot, so they don't have to worry about the All-Star game or anything like it, but it's just not the brand that you feel all excited about for that week off, and everything that they build up to it, and then 2 more days, and then you're right back into baseball. It's just kind of an afterthought. Even when they have great moments, like last year was, at the time, it's incredible, but it becomes an afterthought. And maybe that's just what All-Star games are, and it's just to celebrate and you move on from it.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a way to fix it in that way, right? Like if you're looking for a game, a true game that matters and has meaning, watch the World Series. Watch the ALCS, watch the NLCS, watch the World Baseball Classic, watch the Olympics in 2028. That stuff will matter. World Cup, you can watch that action later today. Congratulations to Spain for advancing beyond France. Like that stuff has real tangible impact on, there's stakes involved. I don't think there's ever going to be stakes involved in the All-Star game, and it just becomes a matter of do you value watching some of, even if not all of, Alex, the greatest players in the world on display? If your answer is no, dude, that's more power to you. I'm not going to criticize you whatsoever. It is totally fair to say that ain't for me. I get it. There's no stakes attached to it. I don't blame you. And these guys are coming out after a couple of innings as well. That's totally fair. For me, I enjoy it because I get the opportunity to watch some of these guys on display. And a lot of the time, it gives us some really great moments. Last night, it didn't. Last night, the on-field action left a whole hell of a lot to be desired. I can't tell you there was a single moment, maybe outside of Riley O'Brien hitting Junior Caminero, and thank God he's okay, that I left saying, like, I remember that. It just kind of came and went, and it was over.
Yeah, and even like the swing off last year, like that wasn't even in the All-Star game. It was because it was tied and they added it into it that season. So like in terms of memorable moments in All-Star games, they're just not there. But I mean, there's nothing you can fix. I mean, that's the biggest thing from it. It's just, like I said, it's such a letdown from that home run derby to then go to that and then be like, oh, God. And now you got to wait 2 days before you get actual competitive baseball back.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex, we did get big news earlier today for the St. Louis Blues. We are your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. They announced their home opener. It will be against the San Jose Sharks coming up on October the 28th. You excited?
Not October 28th. October 8th.
The 8th.
I'd be more excited about the 28th because that's a little extra time. But yes, I'm excited. You get Stenberg in town to open up the season, which everyone I'm sure will love.
Celebrini is the one that I'm going to be circling on that.
Is it? Oh, yeah. That makes sense. I'm more excited that they open up the season. I think they open up versus Dallas, which every time they play Dallas is always like 1-goal games. And then
October the 2nd.
And then they play Chicago on the 6th.
October the 6th.
Yeah, those are going to be the two that I think will be fun right away. And then the home opener is always great.
There you go.
That's about
starting the season on September the 29th.
Hey,
Carolina versus Florida is a really fun opening night matchup. They did get that one in there, and that's going to be great. Yeah. But beyond
Toronto's going to be good, too. I think that's either the 29th or the 30th, so that one will be good right away. But, hey, you won't hear me complain because now we're only 4 preseason games and we're starting the season. Last season, we were playing like preseason game number 5 on September 29th, so you won't hear me complain.
What's more electric for you?
Preseason games or All-Star game? Preseason game.
The schedule announcement for the Blues of the All-Star game last night.
All-Star game last night, which goes to show you the schedule release in hockey is not like the schedule release in the NFL. Really, when I look at it, I say, okay, when am I doing 9 o'clock games and how many back-to-backs do we have?
Coming up in 15 minutes, these might be the two best comparisons for a potential Jimmy Snuggerud contract. We'll get into that in just a little bit. If you guys want to get involved in the show, the way to do so is 314-399-9646. You can always check us out as well on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN Coming up next, I do want to get into some Cardinals first half superlatives. We've got your MVP, Cy Young, most surprising, most disappointing, and how about this one, Alex? The best glue guy from the first half of the Cardinals season. Guy. We'll give you our answers to all of those coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
We want to hear from you. Use the Scott Lee Mic Drop feature on the 101 mobile app. Give us your opinion on anything St. Louis sports with a mic drop.
Brought to you by the Scott Lee Heating Company.
They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Oh, baby. You know I love a good list, Alex.
What are they going to be? How many of these are going to be the exact same player?
I don't know. I'm really curious to see the direction you go alongside Alex and Bradford on BK. Cardinals first half superlatives. We're officially done with the first half now that the All-Star game was last night. I want to get your thoughts on the Cardinals first half. MVP, Cy Young, most surprising, most disappointing, and the best glue guy
well, the glue
on
guy's
the roster.
Pozo, obviously, so
clearly
we can move on from that.
All right, let's start out with MVP. I'm guessing we have the same one.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. I think there are two legitimate candidates for this. Who did you go with for Cardinals first half MVP?
I mean, mine's Walker, and I'd love to hear the argument for the other one just because, like, to me, we saw what the team looks like when Walker's not hitting. I mean, we've had multiple shows where we're like, man, what's going on with the Cardinals? And we answer, well, it's obvious. Jordan Walker's not hitting with power right now. So, and then when you see him hit for power, the team's scoring runs. So he is the obvious one for me. And if the other one, I'd like to hear the argument for.
Yeah, I think the other argument is J.J. Weatherholt, and it's because he just does everything. He's unbelievable defensively. offensively. He's been so far this year, by at least the advanced numbers, the single best defender in Major League Baseball. When you add that with the base running and you add in what he does to set the table for everybody else as a hitter, as the leadoff guy, I think there's at least an argument for him. I would not mix that argument, though, with any kind of veracity. I agree with you. It's Jordan Walker. He's been one of the best players in baseball. What you saw on Monday night was simply a continuation of what has been a really special season for him. Looked into some of the numbers earlier today. Alex, you know I like doing some, hey, who are the last players that have done this?
You told me?
Got a list for you.
I got a list for you.
I do indeed. Players under the age of 24 that had at least 20 home runs, 10 steals, 70 RBIs in their team's first 95 games. So in other words, players Walker's age to do what he's done offensively at this point in the season.
Good God. I can't even begin to try and guess on this one.
Jordan Walker.
Is Ray Langford on this list?
No, this is not Cardinal specific. This is just Major League Baseball history. This is the entire history of Major League Baseball. Again, players that have posted similar numbers or better to Walker at this point in the season at his age or younger. Jordan Walker, PCA, Mike Trout, David Wright, Alex Rodriguez, and then we're getting into a little old school throwback players. Jose Canseco.
Nice.
Reggie Jackson.
Oh, my gosh.
Frank Robinson.
Take it back.
End of list.
Jeez.
8 players in the history of baseball have accomplished at this point in the season what we have seen so far from Jordan Walker. Yeah, I'll go ahead and make the case. He's been your MVP so far this year as well.
And I totally get the J.J. Weatherholt, but to me, J.J. Weatherholt looks as good as he does because Jordan Walker is doing what he's doing. We'd be talking about how great he is defensively and how much he's getting on base and how good he is in the strike zone, but if he's not scoring runs and the Cardinals aren't winning games, how much are you talking about J.J. Weatherholt?
I am interested to see what you go with as your Cy Young for the season for the St. Louis Cardinals.
I think we're going to have the same answer on this, but maybe not. Mine's Michael McGreevy.
Wow, we did. We went with the same answer. Okay.
I didn't think Dustin May fell into that, and it's not because he has been one of your best pitchers. It's just because I think Michael McGreevy has been one of your most consistent pitchers. Now, May started the season off rough, and he ended the season, or the first half, a little bit rough. But in between, he's been excellent. But, man, Michael McGreevy, I can think of one outing where he just didn't have it. And following that outing, we saw them try and get a little bit more rest for him, so fatigue factor set in. But from the moment the shots went off and the season began, he has been your most consistent pitcher. And he's been one of the guys that has come up big for you in stopping situations to try and help your bullpen get a little bit more rest. So, without question, Michael McGreevy is my Cy Young.
You said the word consistency. That's been the theme of his season. Here's his ERA by month: 0, 3.6, 3.0, 3.4, 2.2. Every month he's been very good for the St. Louis Cardinals. In fact, if you just break it down by starts, he's tied for 4th in all of Major League Baseball with 12 quality starts so far this season. He's done so in a total of 18 starts. So almost 2/3, basically 2/3 of his starts are quality starts so far this year. You break it down even further. He's gone at least 5 innings in every start other than 2. In those 2 starts, he went 4 innings and 4 2/3 innings. The guy gets deep into baseball games, which is something that you just don't see across baseball any longer. He has allowed more than 3 earned runs, a total of 3 times in 18 starts this season.
Damn.
In those starts, he allowed 5, 5, and 4. This guy gives you a chance to win every single time that he takes them out. And ultimately, that's the job of a starting pitcher, which gets me to his record on the season, which is baffling. He's 4-7 this year, Alex. I don't understand how that's possible. The guy has 12 quality starts, and they have won 4 games, or he's won 4 games when he's been on the mound this year. Over time, that should normalize, and you would expect if he continues to pitch this well, the Cardinals will be better in his starts. But, yeah, he's been the model of consistency. I have really enjoyed watching Michael McGreevy start this year. To me, based upon that consistency, he's been your best guy and your Cy Young.
He's the one guy in the rotation that I look at and say he's a part of this in the future.
And no doubt about it.
Like put him in pen. Put him in pen, because I don't know with Dustin May. Liberator is not in that category anymore. I think Leahy's going to be in the bullpen in the future, and I think Andre Palante's not on the team. So McGreevy's the one guy that I look at and say, yep, that guy I'll put in pen. He's going to be a part of the Cardinals.
Next thing up, biggest surprise in a positive way for you so far this year.
So this might be chalky, but mine's J.J. Weatherholt. I thought he was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be best second baseman in all of baseball, clear-cut Rookie of the Year winner, and on top of all of that, his offense has maintained the same level all season. Even in slumps, J.J. Weatherholt has pulled himself out of it. I thought, even with a guy as drafted as high as he was, we were going to see a J.J. Weatherholt that had a little bit of what Jordan Walker did in that first year where it disappeared and you were like, oh, okay, maybe he needs to go to Memphis to figure it out. Not once this season have I said, well, J.J. Weatherholt's going to have to figure it out how to be a big leaguer. The dude has been a big leaguer from start to finish, and it's 3 months in. It's no coincidence he got that contract. I thought he was going to be good for the Cardinals. I didn't think in the first year he was going to be pillar of this Cardinals rebuild moving forward.
I wasn't sure that Andre Pallante would make it through the season as a starting pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals.
That's another really good one.
Truly. I wasn't sure he was going to be in the rotation by the time we got to the end of the year. He has been good for you.
Yeah.
Not great, but good. He's been a really solid middle of the rotation starter. His ERA is below 4. He has thrown 100 innings exactly at this point in the season. I mean, I don't know that you could have really asked for anything more out of that spot in your rotation. So to me, the biggest surprise in the rotation is a guy that I think a lot of people wanted to be shot into the sun, DFA'd, get him off of my team, not go to the bullpen, go away. Yeah. I don't want to watch you any longer. Please end this experiment with Andre Pallante. And he has rebounded in a real insignificant way this season. I think it is very clear that there are at least 2 guys behind him in this rotation, and it's not just because Libby has struggled this year. It's not just because Kiley hasn't been ideal this season. It's because Andre Pallante has earned that right. He's won 10 games so far this year, and I think that's reflective of how he has pitched.
Yeah, I couldn't. That's a really good one. I mean, you could make a lot of these because I think Dustin May has been a surprise this year for how good he was. I thought Dustin May was not going to be this all season long.
I think Soriano?
Yeah, I think Nathan Church has been a little bit of a surprise for this team. Nelson Velasquez has been a little bit of a surprise.
Your guy, Gordon Graceffo, I think based upon the results, even if I will say I don't know if this is sustainable, the guy has a 2.9 ERA. He's been awesome.
I mean, that's the one category that I could hear about 10 different arguments for, because where the Cardinals are at is surprising, and I think there's a lot of guys that are contributing to that.
And if we're being real, the true answer is Jordan Walker.
Well, yes.
But since we already used him, I agree. There are a lot of different other options. All right, there are, speaking of which, a decent number of options for this next category as well. Biggest disappointment in the first half of the Cardinals season is who for you?
Justin Brule, obviously. Get rid of this guy. Send him to the sun. No, mine's Matthew Liberatore. I was very hopeful that Matthew Liberatore was going to learn from what happened to him last season in the second half and adapt to it. And early out of the gate, I was like, oh, okay, Matthew Liberatore is going to be fine. And then we saw that spurt where it was all the strikeouts and you were super pumped about it. Since then, he has been probably one of the more disappointing players for the team. I mean, Eric Fetty's got a better ERA than him right now. The swing and miss stuff has not been consistent. I think he is falling into that you might just be a bullpen arm in the future for your career, which doesn't help the Cardinals now. Fine for the future with their pipeline, but I think Matthew Liberatore was a disappointing one because I was hopeful that he and Michael McGreevy would become, for the now, at least that 1-2 punch that you could get excited about.
I think mine is very clear. I think there were 2 on the position player side that you can point to in particular.
This one to me was obvious. So
one is Nolan Gorman.
Yeah.
But whatever. We knew that this was at least a possibility with him. For me, it's Victor Scott.
It's another one.
He's just flat out been replaced. He's not as good as Nathan Church right now. Now, I don't know what Nathan Church is ultimately going to become. I think the odds are in favor of him being a 4th outfielder long term, but he at least has value. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's good on the base paths. He makes contact far more often than Victor Scott did, and he plays a great center field. And he at least can handle his own at the plate. Even if it's not great, it leaves a lot to be desired. He can handle his own, which is all you needed out of Vic, and he wasn't able to get there.
Yeah.
And this season at the major league level, he hit below 200, and every bit as concerning, if not more so. He's batting 200 with a below 300 on-base percentage at the AAA level this season. And he's been down there now for quite a while, Alex.
Yeah.
So the fact that he has struggled this mightily down at AAA and couldn't figure it out at the big league level, it's really disappointing because as recently as a few seasons ago, I mean, this is a guy that we all had pretty high hopes for at this level, and it just has not worked for him. So Victor Scott II, to me, I was very excited about what he could ultimately become. I know the Cardinals spoke highly about his offseason work. It's the biggest disappointment to me this year.
I think there's a couple of others, too, that isn't as big as Victor Scott or Nolan Gorman or Matthew Liberatore. I think Swanson and Ryan Fernandez could fall into that because I was hopeful that those two guys were going to be catalysts for your bullpen and have not been for you. I guess you could put Pedro Pajes in there if you wanted to, that he kind of lost his job. I just
don't know if there was any other higher expectations.
Would you have Mason Wynn here? Because the offense has not taken that next step forward.
Yeah, I don't think he fits into the same category. If we had a category that was like the guy that's played well that you have the biggest questions about in terms of their future place within the organization, that's a really long category that wouldn't work.
What a superlative it is.
He would probably get that place for me, but in terms of biggest disappointment, I don't think that's fair because he's been excellent defensively still. And while not great offensively, it's been pretty close to what it was a year ago.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been as much of a drop-off as I think there would need to be.
The only reason I brought him up was because I was curious if fans came into it thinking that offense was going to take the next step, and it's been kind of right where it's been. But the defense has not been disappointing. It's far from it, so that's why I don't think he falls into that.
All right, this one I'm curious to see the direction that you go with that, Alex. You could take this in a million different ways because they've had a lot of players that fit into the criteria. Best glue guy for the 2026 Cardinals is who?
Alec Burleson. I think that one to me is as clear as day. I mean, it seems like the moment Arenado and Goldschmidt left, he was the guy that became the dad of the locker room, right? Like he seemed like he's the grizzled vet that's been there, done that everybody turns to. He seems to be always the hype guy for a lot of the players. And you talk about Mr. Consistency, and that's Alec Burleson, in my opinion. I mean, where he's in the batting order, how often he plays there, filling that spot at first base. I think Alec Burleson is the guy that makes that engine go for the Cardinals. So he would be my glue guy.
I'll go Jose Fermin.
That was the other one I was wondering.
I think Jose Fermin's been really good for the Cardinals this year, man. It's such a classic throwback Cardinals player.
Yep.
He has played every position other than right field, catcher, and pitcher, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him at least one or two of those spots by the end of the season. He's batting .295 with an 800 OPS against lefties. That's his role. He comes in, he hits against lefties, he crushes them. He's got a .280 batting average with runners in scoring position, so he's coming through in the clutch when he goes into high leverage spots. He's batting like .290 so far this season as well.
Yep.
The guy's
taking over
been
third
great.
base for you.
Yeah, he has a legitimate case to be made that he's been your best third baseman on the season this year, which doesn't speak highly to the position, but also says, hey, he's given you something that you desperately needed at a time when nobody else really stepped up in that specific role. So, yeah, I'll go Jose Fermin as the super sub that I thought that Thomas Saggese would become.
Yep.
It's just been Jose Fermin, and I will give full kudos to him and to the organization. You remember a couple of years ago where we were like, hey, this Jose Fermin cat, can you please get him off of the 40-man? Please, just DFA him. He's injured down in the minor league system. He's not playing. He hasn't participated in organized activities in like 3 months. Just DFA him to make it work on the 40-man. They didn't do it. We were frustrated by it for months on end at that season. And since then, he's done nothing but produce basically every time that he's been given the opportunity at the major league level. So full kudos to Fermin. He also just seems like genuinely one of the best dudes ever. He was on with TMA yesterday talking about why he went to Philadelphia for the home run derby and to see the festivities out there and to support his guy. So, yeah, Jose Fermin for me would be one of my the best glue guy on the 2026 Cardinals.
Who's done the best Wally Pipp this season for the Cardinals?
Well, Wally Pipp requires an injury, right? Or are we just saying like, hey, you replaced somebody?
You replaced somebody. Role? Yeah, not so much the injury, but more so replace them because you've outplayed them.
I would say Church probably deserves that.
Yeah, Church, and I don't know who Velasquez is Wally Pipped because he's more of like the DH, the
Pozo.
I guess that would be it.
It should have been Pozo's, or it was expected to be Pozo's role this year.
Because his power came out of nowhere for him. But then you put Blaze Jordan into that conversation. You put Jimmy Crooks into that conversation. You could put a couple of bullpen
I don't
arms.
know what to do with Crooks, man. Is that guy good?
He's going to be fine. He's just...
Are we sure?
He's working through the ins and outs of Major League Baseball.
I don't know what to do with him. He's been mostly terrible. Like, if people are going to get on to Pedro Pages about A, pass balls, and B, his batting average, Jimmy Crooks is batting 165 right now.
He has been exactly the same as a year ago.
Is Jimmy Crooks
small sample size
letting as many passed balls get past him as much as Pedro was?
So.
Is he?
Like his defense has not been his defense has not been particularly impressive. And by OPS, he's been worse so far this year than Pedro Pages. So I don't really know what to do.
But you know what? I'm not upset about it. It's another dude that I just take off the checklist.
It's fine,
right? It's a catcher that I've got 7 of on my 40-man roster. So guess what? I don't think he's going to work. Maybe you move on from it.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll get to questions and answers coming up here in about 15 minutes. Alex brought up 2 different comparisons on the directions that Jimmy Snuggerud's next contract could go. Which one's more likely for the team? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777. Get social with 101 ESPN. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's BK, and it is time for you to unlock your inner champion. The place to go is Victory Men's Health. Check them out today. You can do so online or in their 4 great locations across the St. Louis area. Online, they're at victorymenshealth.com. And when you go there, you'll be able to find out what it is exactly that they can do for you. They have a ton of different great services available for you at Victory Men's Health, including testosterone optimization, weight loss, sexual health, red light therapy, cardiovascular testing, micronutrient testing, and so much more. It's all available today to unlock your inner champion at victorymenshealth.com. Go there, book your first appointment online, put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then you can get started with your first consultation. That first visit will include a visit with a licensed medical provider. They'll do some lab work for you, find out where all your different levels are at, your biomarkers, and then they'll put together a personalized plan for you to unlock your inner champion. I've done it. You can do it too. It's all at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com.
It's a weekend MLB doubleheader. Saturday, Yankees and Dodgers. First pitch at 7:08. Then Sunday, it's Game 2. First pitch at 6:20. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Midsummer Classic finds offense in short supply. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is delivered by Universal Windows Direct. Last night at Citizens Bank Park, the American League secured another All-Star Game win for nothing. NL pinch hitter Jordan Walker struck out as bottom 9 action began. Ivan Herrera had grounded out 1 inning earlier, while Cardinals closer Riley O'Brien worked a scoreless third. Baseball's second half begins tomorrow with Mets-Phillies. St. Louis visits Arizona July 17th. FIFA World Cup, Spain beat France 2-0 on Tuesday. Semifinal number 2 unfolds this afternoon. Those reigning world champs from Argentina will draw England. Your Sports Center update was presented by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Alex, yesterday we left the show and you said, I think I know what the comparison is for Jimmy Snuggerud's next contract. And I said, okay, who is it? You said, actually, there's 2 of them.
Ooh.
And I think these are the 2 different paths that his negotiations could go. Who were they and why, Alex?
So it was Ivan Demidov of the Montreal Canadiens, and it was Pavel Dorofeyev of the now New York Rangers, previously the Golden Knights. So for those that don't know, Demidov signed a contract extension July 1st, 8 years, $73 million, so about $9.1 million. And if you look at Demidov's kind of career, it eerily resembles Jimmy Snuggerud, not so much in the sense of his path to the NHL, but 2 years ago made his NHL debut, couple of games in the regular season, and then played in the first round of the playoffs. The next year, this past season, put up 62 points, was a +3, performed in the playoffs for the Montreal Canadiens. And if you look at Jimmy Snuggerud, scored more goals than Demidov, was like 6 points fewer than Demidov, but played 12 fewer games. And the Canadiens saw that 20-year-old and said, you're going to be a key part of this team. We're signing you right now. And then you got the other side of the spectrum. Dorofeyev, who has played a lot for the Vegas Golden Knights. I think he's been with them for the past 4 years. Has continued to improve. The last 2 seasons, 35 and 37 goals. And this year, the time was to pay him, and there was an offer sheet potential. Vegas knew they were going to be in a bind. They had to trade him, and the moment that the Rangers traded for him, they signed him to I think it was 6 years, 11 mil?
7 by 11.
7 by 11. So I looked at both of those and I said, okay, a little bit of different career paths. One has only been in the NHL for a year. The other one's been probably in the NHL and AHL for 4 years. And I think Montreal was the aggressive one that said, we need to get this guy locked up now before he gets more expensive. 8 years, $9 million. To where the Dorofeyev is, to where Vegas said, well, let's let this play out, see what he becomes. He became a nearly 40-goal scorer and got $11 million. So to me, I looked at both of those and I said, this is where the Blues are teetering right now. If you want to be ultra aggressive, maybe you try and sign him now, because you got until September if you want that 8-year deal before the new CBA kicks in. Is 8 by 9 something that his agency would look at and say, yeah, that's pretty comparable to what we think Snuggerud is? Or do the Blues say, now we want to let this thing play out? And if it does, and Snuggerud comes back this year and goes gangbusters and puts up 30-plus goals, does his side look at Dorofeyev and said, yeah, we could get you 11-plus? Like, I think you're somewhere in between that, and if the Blues strike early, I wonder if they could get a Demidov deal done.
I also wonder if that's still out there, because that was pre-Carlson, and I just wonder if the numbers have gone up in the NHL. I don't know. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they're going to view that as an outlier.
Well, and the Carlson's the center, and it's tough for wingers to comp to centers because the other side can argue they do a lot more.
Sure, and they should, but the ceiling has now increased exponentially for NHL forwards. And you look at where you're at if you're Snuggerud, I wouldn't accept a $8 million or $9 million deal right now. I'd say that's below my market value. I'll play it out on this current deal that I've got. I've got RFA status next year. We'll see where we're at. But I don't think he has any incentive to take a deal that low, personally. I know it's big-time money, But I think that money's going to be there for him no matter what, barring something unforeseen. I would just continue to wait for that payday that you can get if you're a Diorfiev's peer. And that basically just requires, hey, go out there and put up 30 to 35 goals this year.
Yeah.
If you do that, I think he's talking $10+ million minimum by the end of the season.
I agree. And that's why I think both are kind of the agency side / the Blues side use the Demidov as, look, we think this would work. And the thing with Demidov, as much as you want to bet on yourself, you also lock up security if you come back and only put up 50 points and score 20 goals. And it's underperforming, but you're betting on the upside, kind of like what they did with Kyrou and Robert Thomas. The Dorofiev one, I would imagine, is what the Snuggerud side is going to be saying, like, look, man, go back and have an incredible season. We could get you $10 to $11 million. And I wouldn't blame him for it. And frankly, if he goes out there and puts up 70 points and 30 goals and the team is a playoff team, I think a lot of Blues fans would say $11 million is good with us, because who knows what that could get to if he continues to perform in the NHL.
If you were in Alex Steen's shoes and the agency, Jimmy Snuggerud's agency, says, not signing $8 million, we're not interested.
$9 million, you mean? You said $8 million.
Sure, $9 million. Yeah. We'll do 10. We'll go in between. We know we're not quite to where Diorfiev was because
10?
We don't have the longevity. We don't have multiple seasons of production the way that he did. But we believe that the market has changed since Demidov signed his deal, and we believe the asking price now should be 10. Would you do that if you were Alex Steen?
Yeah. 8 by 10, 100%. I would sign that right now. And I know you're banking on upside, but
I think I wouldn't. I think I would wait, because I don't think that the downside is significant enough by waiting to where I'm gonna like really live to regret it in a serious way.
No, I don't think so. But I don't think he's going to go north of 11 or 12 million dollars, even if he has a like incredible season. But I still think, like, longevity-wise, one, I could get him locked up to 8 years, which next year the most you're going to get is 7. And two, I still think even if I'm saving $1 million or $2 million, if he continues to develop the direction that I think he can and the market keeps going the way it will, he might be a $15 million player 3 years from now. And, like, that's why the Demidov one, like, $9 million, if that guy plays to the level he has been playing, that guy is going to be more like a Nikita Kucherov in the NHL, to where he's putting up a ton of points. $9 million is going to be a steal. I think if I can get him for 10, even if I'd say let's wait and see what he does and he puts up 35 goals, I still think me getting $2 million cheaper now versus what he could be 2 years from now. Because hell, if he puts up 35 goals, what's going to say, why sign a contract now? Let's just push it another year and keep going with it. Yeah. I think if there's security in getting him locked up and having him at a price that I know how I can operate my team, I would go that direction.
He's a fascinating contractual spot right now. Yeah. I think he's more so interesting than any other player on the current roster, because I think we have a pretty decent idea of what the market value could be for Jake Neighbors. I don't think he's going to outprice himself. I don't think Logan Mailloux is going to get crazy expensive. I don't think Joel Hofer is going to jump astronomically. I think we kind of know the range for all of these guys. Snuggy's the one I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's gonna land, and there's a chance he becomes immediately the highest paid player on the Blues roster for a very long time. Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Questions and answers coming up next.
Give us your opinion on the Air Comfort Service heating, cooling, and insulation text line at 314-399-9646 on 101 ESPN. Back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's questions and answers on 101 ESPN.
314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 636, guys, Walk recently ranked the top 10 coaches, and Eli Drinkwitz was not among them, justifiably, in my opinion. However, would you say that he should be on the top 20? Excuse me, they meant to say ESPN.com. They said Walk. I didn't know if they were talking about like Brandon Walker, who's certainly getting under some Cardinals fan skin in the last 24 hours.
Jordan.
Yeah.
But top 10 coaches in college football, Drinkwitz not on the list. Top 20, should he be on there is the question, Alex. Probably around that range.
I'd have him top 20. I think he's probably somewhere between like 15 and 20.
Feels about right. Yeah.
Fringe top 20, in my opinion. You want to change the perception nationwide. You go on the road and you start taking care of SEC business.
Yeah, you win the
right,
big
BK?
games, right, Bradford? Can't do it. That joke's only funny when T-Bone's here because he's not a Mizzou fan. It's not as funny when I got two Mizzou diehards next to me.
The Athletic put together their ranking of the top 25 coaches in college football. Let's see where Drinkwitz did not make that one. They had Brett Bielema at 25. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's crazy. They had John Sumrall at 21. Lance Leipold at 20. Dabo at 19. Yeah, this is the range where I think it's kind of hard not to have Eli Drinkwitz in that range. I'd have Clark Lee at 15, who had one good season.
I'd have Drink, no question, above Dabo.
15, that's ambitious for Lee. Where is he in the pantheon of, let's just say,
James
SEC
Franklin at 12?
BK. 12? Good luck.
Yeah, woof.
Why is James Franklin viewed as a better coach right now than
because he
Eli
can win the
Drinkwitz?
big Oh, wait.
Yeah. I mean, if you flipped James Franklin and Eli Drinkwitz over the last decade, who do you think has more success? Drink at Penn State or James Franklin at Mizzou? It's Drinkwitz to me. He's going to recruit at an extremely high level with that kind of backing and that kind of...
But can he coach?
Yeah, I think he's pretty good. I think he needs a little bit of help. I think he did a good job this offseason of getting the right guys in place for improving the passing game system. He's got to find the quarterback. It's a legitimate question about him. But I think he's a pretty good coach. I think he's a really good CEO. And I think he has an excellent running game scheme that he is in charge of. He needs help with the other stuff. And that's a lot of coaches. Most coaches across college football have something they specialize in, and they need somebody else to take care of the other stuff.
Very good at delegating, though. I think that aspect was underestimated a couple of seasons ago.
314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers from Advanced Warehouse Consulting. Guys, do you think Steen is waiting to get the McMichael contracts done before making any more moves, particularly trading Nikishin?
Maybe. I have to imagine they have an idea of what he's going to cost in their minds. It's a matter of agreeing / going to arbitration. Like, to me, that's not what would be holding up a trade. It's not like they're worried you're not going to get it done and then have to adjust to find. I think they know he's going to cost somewhere between $4 and $6 million, and then you adjust accordingly. I just think the Nikishin thing, Carolina didn't get what they wanted, and now it's just a matter of, okay, we got to negotiate with him to find out how much money he wants, but let's also see what teams really want for him. So I think this is the area where you let the dust settle, and then as you get to early August is when teams start to get a little bit more antsy of, okay, we got to make a decision on what we're doing here with these players. Because remember, Nikishin doesn't have arbitration rights, so they have to basically have a contract extension with him or trade him.
From the 314, guys, are you planning to go see The Odyssey? Alex, is this one that you're hoping to get to at the theaters?
This is one I think I might. Like, I don't go to the movies very often. I think since COVID, I've seen maybe like 3 films in the movie theater. This is one I might go to because I remember reading this in high school. I remember watching the older film of this in high school. And frankly, I do like the Greek mythology side of that. So I think I might go to see this one.
If it's
I'm
a
hoping
Christopher,
to if I can.
Yeah, if it's a Christopher Nolan piece, period, full stop, I'm going.
Yeah, this feels like that big blockbuster that we haven't had in a while.
Is this one you're hoping to see in IMAX?
Yeah, probably. Although IMAX makes me a little motion sick, so I don't know if I should do that or not.
It seems like this is one I was like made for that.
Yeah.
Did you see Obsession in theaters?
That's one of the 3 movies. So I've seen Deadpool. Obsession, and Jackass.
What did you think of Obsession? No spoilers.
I thought it was, so I didn't want to go see it until Eric, who was actually filling in, told me, he's like, hey, I saw it. He's like, it's messed up. You should go see it. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. And so I went and I walked out of it and I'm like, damn, that was a really good script and even better acting.
Really?
Yeah. I was very impressed. And so those guys.
The girl in it is
incredible.
Gotta be a star.
The guy that wrote it and directed it, he and his buddy who was in the movie, they had done a ton of social media skits that I've seen in the past, and I thought they were funny. And so I was really curious to see what the film turned out. And I mean, it was really interesting to me.
All right. From the 314, guys, you've got to mention that Joker who was talking about the Cardinals fans. All right. We'll go ahead and play this real quick. This is Brandon Walker. He's a Barstool guy who was on his podcast the other day talking about the home run derby and got into the Cardinals. Take a listen.
I've always hated the Cardinals. You know why I hate the Cardinals? Because Cardinals fans are full of
That's right.
They want you to know they're the best fans in baseball.
Right.
If you have to tell people you're the best fans in a sport, you're not the best fans in a sport.
That's exactly right.
And I've always hated that. And the Cardinals, boring.
Yeah.
Boring. The stadium, boring. Uniform, boring. Everything boring about the Cardinals. Jordan Walker should play for the Braves. Or maybe the Brewers.
You think the Cardinals jerseys are boring?
Kinda, yeah. Do you think they're not? I don't think they're bad in any stretch of the imagination. I just think Cardinals are a boring baseball organization. Yeah. But really, I don't hate them because of that, because they've probably been one of the most consistently good organizations in all of sports my life. They're probably a top 5 organization my entire life. They're fans. It's just the fans will boo and then they'll cheer and they'll do the same thing every other fan base does. And they're like, look at us.
They feel like they're different. Yeah.
Look at us.
I responded to it because it was just funny watching somebody complain. To me, this was clickbait. This was just trying to create more of that rivalry, which good for them. I mean, that's what you do. But
it's from the Mostly Sports with Mark Titus. He's the guy that was saying, that's right.
That's right. That's right. What a hype man.
Brandon Walker, who primarily does stuff on college football.
And Barstool Sports makes a lot of sense. Like the dumbest thing that he said was the jerseys being boring. Like it's one of the most popular jerseys in all of Major League Baseball. And all of the iterations of the Cardinals jerseys going back to the 80s and the powder blue to what they do now, people love. So, but I mean, like.
The BFIB thing was like, yeah, that's going to bother other fans.
That's the whole point.
Of course it is. Yeah. And like, I find the whole notion to be kind of silly, but whatever. Like, if that's what you want to call yourself, cool. Like, I think most Cardinals fans even look at it and they're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. I think it's just a mantra that got placed in St. Louis on the fan base. And, once it's on you, we'll claim it.
And the players say it too, but the players say it on every single team. Like, I heard Bryce Harper say it at the home run derby. These are the best fans in baseball. Like, we as a fan base just took it and said, yeah, we're the best fans in baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not? Also, him being like, well, they do the same thing other fans do. I don't know, man. I don't hear a lot of other stadiums cheering for guys who played like one season for the Cardinals and giving them standing ovations.
I almost think that's become like a character of itself too, though.
Probably.
Where it's like, okay, do we really need to do this? That guy spent 4 weeks here. But whatever.
You know, give a standing O to Taylor Motter when he returns?
Yeah, like that kind of stuff, whatever.
I saw it and I was like, okay, I know exactly what you're trying to do. And it's like, yeah, it's good. You create the rivalry it's there for. But yeah, the part that was dumb was when he said it's a boring jersey.
Yeah, I agree.
That one's not too bright.
What do you think of the stadium? Do you like Busch?
I like Busch, but I do agree somewhat with what he's saying. Like, it just doesn't have the history of Wrigley or Fenway. It doesn't have the skyline like Pittsburgh does. Like, it's not boring, but it's just not anything that it's like, oh, I got to get to the ballpark, you know?
The stadium itself is very cookie cutter.
Yeah.
The backdrop is amazing. The arch in the backdrop, I think, is pretty incredible.
Right now, it doesn't look as good because you get, all these cranes that are handing over the hotel.
That's like when I went to Pittsburgh and PNC had a tarp over the Clemens A. Bridge. I was like, really? That's why I came. We went to Yankee Stadium earlier this season, and I felt the same way there. I was like, it's cool that you come out of the subway, you're up there, and you're like just immersed in Yankee.
It's the
land,
history
right?
of it, yeah.
That's cool, but the stadium itself is super cookie cutter. There's nothing particularly unique once you're inside of it. So I think Busch is better than Yankee Stadium, but I like Coors a little better. I thought PNC was better. I think Busch is a little better than Kauffman. But I've been to 5 stadiums, and it's probably kind of in the middle for me.
Yeah, it's just, again, like I'm born and raised here. Like I'm a big Cardinals fan. I just don't feel like it's this like, oh, I've got to get to it like it's on my bucket list ballparks. I think there are a lot of others that are there, so that I can understand him saying. But, I mean, hell, Pete Crow Armstrong said it, that he enjoys playing at that center field, and it's a good ballpark to play at.
The grass,
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's a nice ballpark. They have the most incredible field team of any baseball team in Major League Baseball. Watching them fix that flood that was there on Friday night.
Incredible.
It was so, in a matter of 15 minutes, it looked like it didn't even rain there.
Somebody from the text line, the dumb skyline in Pittsburgh is literally just buildings and a bridge and a river. Like it's cool. I'm sorry, man. If you don't think it's cool, great. That's for you. I think Pittsburgh, among the stadiums that I've been to, is my personal favorite.
Universally, the players,
I don't think it's close.
Broadcasters, fans, everybody tells you that.
I like San Francisco's too. I think that's cool to have that wall and right field, and then you have the river there. Like, I just think there's other stadiums that, and it's also coming from somebody who's only been to Busch Stadium. I think there's other stadiums that I'd like to check out before I say I got to go see Busch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think the jerseys are objectively amazing.
Yeah,
that's some of the most iconic jerseys in baseball. Take. The BFIB thing, if you want to rib on that, that's totally fair game. The stadium, I think, is fine. If you want to say that it's boring, I kind of understand the argument there, but he's right. They're one of the most celebrated and storied teams of the last 60 years in Major League Baseball and really all of professional sports. So along with that is going to come some hate. And it's kind of like what Walker said the other day after his round. They don't hate nobodies. If you're getting hate, that means that you've probably accomplished something. You don't hear a whole lot of people talking about the Colorado Rockies or the Sacramento, Oakland, Las Vegas Athletics. Right?
Not a whole lot of booing to those people.
My Royals. There's not a whole lot of people that talk about them because they're just mostly irrelevant. Yeah. And once you get a little bit of haters, that's probably a good sign that you're doing something right. It speaks to them being relevant, which goes back to Jordan Walker the other night and what that does for the Cardinals brand.
I also like how, sorry to interrupt, I also like how he was like, shouldn't play for the Cardinals. I don't know, they should play for Atlanta. Oh, big hot take there. The guy should play for Georgia, hometown that he grew up in.
Yeah, the guy's, he's a Braves fan. So
grew up loving Chipper Jones and Jason Hayward. Oh, big take there.
And Brandon Walker, the guy that was saying that, is a Braves fan. Yeah. So that's why we wanted him to be a part of the Braves. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we'll dive into some NFL quick hitters, including one former coach who wants to become a play-by-play guy. Would it be a good idea to try it out? We'll talk about that in about 15 minutes. But next, are the Cardinals better than they were at this point last year? We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN.
Need more blues talk? Check out the Last Minute Blues podcast with Alex Ferrario, Donnie Fandango, and Jeremy Rutherford on 101 ESPN. The guys bring you the latest news and notes on your St. Louis Blues. Watch or listen to the Last Minute Blues podcast on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. WXOS, WXOS HD1 East St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. Bernie Miklasz earlier today had a piece out, Alex, on the Cardinals this year compared to a season ago and why he believes the Cardinals are better this time around than they were last year. I want to explore this a little bit with you. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. Let's start with the bare bones basic question that he had as his premise. Do you believe this team is better than it was last year at the same point?
Yes, 100% I do, because they have a perennial MVP. They have a guy who could be a rookie of the year candidate, and they have a roster that never falls down and dies. Like, when they're out of it, they're tough enough to pull themselves back into it rather than them falling down and saying, nope, that's it, we're done, we'll wave the white flag. So to me, bare bones, this is obviously a better team than what they were last year.
Bradford, do you agree with that?
For me, it's not much of a question, quite honestly, because I know there was a lot of hand-wringing entering this season, too, as to whether the offense would be able to really carry that freight, especially if you were talking about, top 3, top 4, and then extending down throughout the order. But what we've seen from that particular group, that core, now your answers are a bit more well-established. Pitching staff remains to be seen. But, for me, there's a pretty sizable gap, honestly.
Man, the numbers wouldn't agree with us because I do feel that way. It feels like this team's better. I looked into it earlier today, batting average wise. The team last year, 252. The teams this year, 242. OPS plus, 2% above league average last year, 2% below league average this season. Starting pitching ERA is slightly better this year, 4.1 versus a 4.3. But if you look at the fielding independence and some of the underlying nerdy numbers, they're basically the exact same. 4.6 this year, 4.5 last year in that regard. The bullpen was significantly better a year ago. 3.75 ERA at this point last year. This year, it's at a 4.2 for the Cardinals. Record is the exact same. So by all of the numbers, the Cardinals were better offensively, better bullpen, basically the same in terms of the rotation as it was last year. But I will agree with you guys in terms of just like how I feel watching them night to night. It feels better. And I think that gets back to the star power. This feels more sustainable because you are building on a bedrock that is, I think we all believe, real. Whereas last year, like, it was propped up by this rising tides lifts all boats kind of thing, where Donnie was really solid. Contreras was really solid. You just had a lot of guys that were performing at like a good, even if not great level. And Ivan Herrera was the quote-unquote star hitter a year ago, and he was dealing with all of his injuries, so he only played half of the first half of the regular season. You look at it this year, you have a legit star MVP caliber bat in Jordan Walker. And so, like, I think that's what feels different. I think it's just you have the guy that you can latch on to and say, that guy's special. Last year, who was the player that you could look at and say, this is a special player that we're currently building around? I don't think you
didn't have one. You didn't have
like
one.
Pitching or offense.
Brendan Donovan, but I don't even know how much you believed you were building around that because you just didn't know where the future of the team was at. Like, to me, I go position by position here. You're better in right field than what you were last year. You're probably right in the same spot that you were in center field. I think Lars Nootbaar has performed a little bit better than what he did last year because he's healthier. Small sample size, I know. You're better at first base, although I know Wilson Contreras was really good last year. It feels like Alec Burleson has outperformed last year's Contreras.
I think they're basically the same. Man.
Are they?
Yeah.
Because Contreras was 426 slug. So, I mean, Burleson's a little bit better of a slug than what he was last year.
Yeah. By the numbers, if you look at OPS, they're basically the same. Burleson this year is at an 805. This time last year was like a 765 for Contreras. So it's slightly better. But it's pretty similar.
You've replaced Brendan Donovan with J.J. Weatherholt, which I think Donovan was performing better than J.J. Weatherholt now, but you're going off of what the future feels like with that. Win's kind of the same. And your third base position, it seems weird to say, but Blaze Jordan.
Worse.
Yeah, it's worse than what it was with Nolan Arenado. And your catching's probably better if you look at Herrera in that spot, but worse in the sense of what the backup looks like. So,
yeah, I mean, your lineup is a little worse than it was last year. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but it's... it's not performing as much above what it was last year as you would think. Mm-hmm. It's just Walker.
Yep.
Like, he changes the outlook of everything. And I could say the same thing, like, it looks different right now for the Yankees when they don't have Aaron Judge in their lineup. Yep. So when you have a star, it should feel different, you know, and that's, we've lived this life here in St. Louis before where you can build around a superstar, and if that guy hits, it makes you feel really good. And when he doesn't, or if he's out of the lineup for whatever reason, you know, it looks a lot different.
You didn't have a guy to turn to last season when things looked bleak and say, please pull us out of this, because nobody lived up to that for you. Now, every time you say it, Jordan Walker comes through with the big hit.
And honestly, if it's not Jordan Walker, what we've seen in the rookie campaign alone from J.J. Weatherholt, how many stretches this season have you actually gone through with this guy? We're not talking about the highest of batting averages, but the approach of the plate, the ability to consistently get on base. If he's not the Robin to the Batman that has been Jordan Walker, he's been awfully close.
Yeah, and then you look at the on-base percentage of Ivan Herrera when it feels like the power's not there. The dude's still getting on base nearly 50% of the time. Burleson, I just think the depth in your lineup feels a little bit better too, but, I mean, it's dipped off a little bit going into the All-Star break.
Somebody on the text line, I think, makes a fair point from the 636. Better? About the same. Better off, though? Absolutely. Getting a lot of answers, in our first year of a rebuild, and there's still a lot in the system to be excited about. Yep. I think that is
nailed it.
A great way to view this. I think the Cardinals right now, it not only feels better because of Walker, but beyond that, you look at what you have coming, it does feel as though they have more internal replacements that are ready than it did at this time last year, where, all right, so McGreevy's ready to come up. But beyond that, what were you looking at as this is on the horizon? There wasn't a whole lot. This season, you can look at it like Quinn Matthews feels like he's very close. Bryson Motts has already impacted the major league level and might not be that far away if he can regain some of that velo in the second half. You've got Hunter Dobbins, who's already been basically in that Michael McGreevy role from last year and could help you at some point down the stretch as well. And then Baseball America, Alex, earlier today put out their list of the 20 prospects in Major League Baseball most likely to get the call to the big league level in the second half. And they did have one Cardinal on that list, and it was Joshua Baez. Mm-hmm. They said the following: Baez enters the All-Star break tied for second in the minors in home runs. His underlying data also supports his stat line as he produces high-end exit velocities, but below average contact and a higher chase rate than you would expect. While his decrease in contact rate is a slight concern, he's absolutely crushing left-handed pitching. And against righties, he has a .550 slugging percentage. Given the Cardinals already employ several platoons in their outfield and that Baez is already on the 40-man roster, it's easy to envision a scenario in which they decide to see if he can bolster their offense at some point in the second half of the season. I think that's part of it, too. I think there's a lot of excitement around what Joshua Baez could be for this team if and when he's called up as well. And you didn't have that position player on the roster last year.
Yeah, I think Baez is a massive part of it. I think kind of looking beyond that, Rodriguez is another piece to it. It's like, to me, I think that texter nailed it. Why it feels different than last season is because you know where they're headed, and where they're headed is what we mentioned yesterday. Like, in a year, 2 years, all of this time you spent waiting for these guys developing are going to be at the major league level, and you're going to see what you've been waiting for with Baez and Rodriguez and some of these pitching players. And last season, you didn't have that. Last season, they were further away. All of the pitchers were starting to get injured. TK Roby went down. You lost Tink Hence for a while. Like, you didn't feel the same way, and Baez hadn't broken out yet. You just didn't have this is coming on top of what Jordan Walker had.
It felt like the end of the era. This feels like the beginning of something.
Yeah, now it feels like, hey, this is the North Star of who the Cardinals are going to be, and you're going to get to see them sooner rather than later. So the direction makes you feel better about where they're at than where they were last year.
That's Alex. He's Bradford. I'm BK. Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joins us coming up in about 15 minutes. But next, NFL quick hitters, including a former coach who wants to become a play-by-play guy. I've got somebody who has a little bit of experience in that role next to me today. How does he think this particular coach would do in such a capacity? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
The Spread Zone, where sports betting meets reckless optimism, questionable logic, and the occasional stroke of genius. With hosts Anthony Stalter, Tim McKernan, and Scott Rizzuto. Check out the latest from the Spread Zone at 101ESPN.com or the 101 mobile app. The Spread Zone is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
All right, let's dive into some NFL quick hitters. Alex, do you want to start with the NFL wide receiver list or John Gruden trying to become a play-by-play guy?
I think John Gruden's better conversation. Let's start there.
Let's do it. John Gruden is going to do some play-by-play broadcasting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the preseason this year. He will do so alongside, I believe it's Rondé Barber, who's going to be his analyst. And he said that he would like to become a play-by-play guy longer term. We've seen this in the past. I mean, you look at it locally, like Mike Shannon. It's not like a trained play-by-play person. He was somebody that was a baseball player that loved the role, loved the game, and that was his way to get involved with the game on the broadcasting side of things. It's not the typical route to that specific role. Normally, it's, more of a trained play-by-play guy like a Chris Kerber, for example, who's going to be joining us here in about 10 minutes. But I am curious, when you see something like this, Alex, with him trying to become this guy, do you think it can work? Can John Gruden actually become a play-by-play announcer?
Yeah, I do think it can work because I do think one thing that lacks in play-by-play is energy, excitement, stories. Like, I do think the play-by-play role has shifted, especially on television. Now, radio is a different story because I do believe you need to hear and see and visualize what's taking place. But we're talking about television with John Gruden. And to me, I think on the television broadcast, especially a football game, there's a lot of downtime in between. And yes, you want breakdown, but I also want entertainment. I also want stories. I want conversation, and then I want the play to be broken down. I do think people won't like it right away because if it, like my guess with John Gruden, especially for how these videos have gone, he gets sidetracked really easy and just gets loud and yelling and isn't really breaking down what's happening in the game or setting it up. That's the part that I wonder if it falls flat. It may be fun right away, but the longer it goes, the more annoying it might get to people. Like for me, I mean, there's certain people that I value what their play-by-play has been. Like Doc Emmerich is, in my opinion, one of my favorite broadcasters. Ken Wilson always was. Al Michaels was in his prime as well. And it's because they not only brought a explanation of the game while they were doing play-by-play, but the energy that led up to the play is what got me out of my seat. Like Doc Emmerich was incredible at it. And I don't know if John Gruden's going to be good at that. I'm worried John Gruden misses plays because he's in a story, or John Gruden misses plays because he's talking about something that's not going on with the game. And that's just going to come with practice and expertise. So I'm going to be most impressed by it if he can build off of it. I think people get annoyed with it as it goes, though.
Fortunately, you're talking about the preseason, right, for starters. And how many of these second halves in particular, guys, these games are just slogs through which to get, right? If you're talking about somebody who can not only fill the airtime, but can do it actually in an entertaining way when nobody, literally nobody, is paying attention in the third and the fourth, I don't have an issue with that exhibition style as a training ground. I really don't. I think it's interesting.
I kind of love the idea.
Yep.
I think it's, as Bradford said, an intriguing concept. It's going to be very different than what people are traditionally used to because he's going to be an analyst who also happens to be calling the game.
Yeah.
I don't think that works on radio.
No,
I don't think you can have that specific role on radio with this kind of a person. But that's okay. John Gruden will probably be doing this almost exclusively on television. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a chance he's pretty good at it. Like, I don't know for sure, but I would be intrigued by this idea if you're, I don't know, Amazon Prime or Netflix, where you've kind of got these one-off opportunities. He's the kind of guy that could be an intriguing option in this particular capacity. It would make it a non-traditional event, a non-traditional broadcast. But I think there's room for that in the NFL. The other thing is you could do it as we see this so often now. Pat McAfee's on right now as we're watching ESPN. How many different broadcasts do they do for like the college football playoffs where he's on it and he's just watching the game and describing what he's thinking as he's watching the game?
That's what I think it's going to be. I don't think
or the Manning cast, right? Like you could have something like that as well.
I don't think John Gruden's going to be the main play. He's not going to be the Mike Tirico that you're going to see every Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. I think he's going to be an alt cast that people will gravitate towards because it's something different than what the main play-by-play is. People like, for me, I sometimes like watching the Manning cast, but sometimes I just want to watch the game and have the play-by-play.
When it's my team, I don't like watching the Manning cast. When it's a group of teams or a couple teams, whatever, that I don't care about, then I'll be more interested in watching.
A playoff game, there's no chance I want to listen to a Manning cast. I want the action, I want to be excited, and I want to build up towards that moment. If it's some type of random regular season game that I have no interest in, give me John Gruden that's going to be entertaining so I can just be entertained while I'm watching a football game.
We've had a number of different people that have texted something of this capacity in. Guys, he used to be in a role as an analyst for Monday Night Football. Where? We
Yes,
remember.
I'm very aware.
We're not that young. We do recall when he was in the booth. It's such a different role, being a play-by-play guy versus being the analyst.
Yes.
And so switching over is not as easy as just like clicking a button and then taking over in that capacity. There are some who can do it. I am not somebody that has the ability to do play-by-play. I'm terrible at it. I would be awful. If you wanted me to go do color commentary for a game, I could do that. Now, nobody would enjoy it because I'm not a former player, and so they'd say, what have you ever done? And my answer would be nothing. But I could do it. I could break the game down in a way that like at least casuals could maybe appreciate. I can't do the role of a play-by-play. I would be awful in describing the action on the field in a way that is clear, coherent, and is quick.
Yeah. Well, and that's why
it's a really hard thing to do.
And that's why baseball and football to me are different than basketball and hockey, because baseball and football is slow moving and allows you as a play-by-play guy to bring in the analyst and have conversations and still get to the play. It's why I think what Chris Kerber does and has done on the radio side is one of the best in the game, because I've witnessed it for 10 plus years. Kerbs can have conversations with three people and still get to the moment and build it up for the excitement. It's a gift, and I still think there's value in it on the television side to where you've got to build up the excitement for that play that's happening. But in football, you've got so much time to talk and build up that moment for the moment to happen. Whereas in hockey, man, it is fast moving, and if you're not bringing the play-by-play, you're going to miss something, and then you're going to be playing catch-up.
I think there's a chance that Gruden could be really good at this. I don't know, but I think there's a chance.
I think he's one of the most entertaining people and has the most energy of people around football. So that, to me, is something you try and coach and build on. If it doesn't work, then guess what? You go back to what you were doing.
Totally.
But if it works, now I got an alternative cast for every big game moving forward. All aboard that.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. We'll get Chris Kerber's thoughts on this, plus the St. Louis Blues offseason next year on 101 ESPN.
Hey, that summer heat is here. You knew it was coming, too. How's that air conditioner holding up for you? Is it making some sounds that it shouldn't be making? Is it maybe just not pumping out the cold air the way you want it? That's why you get Classic Air Care heating, cooling, plumbing, and electricity over to your house to check it out. Have them do a maintenance check on it. If you're having bigger problems, have them look into it. Have them repair it. 9,000 five-star Google ratings for a reason, because customer service is their number one priority. You can read some of those reviews at the top of their website at classicaircare.com. If you're about to have major work done, have them over for a free second opinion. Let them come over. Let them assess what the quote that you've had. Let them assess the equipment and make sure that what you are about to do is what you actually need. You can trust them to get that done for you, and it's free. Free second opinions, great quality service, and making sure that your home is comfortable. That's Classic Air Care. Book an appointment online at classicaircare.com.
Now listen to 101 ESPN On Demand. Get caught up on all our shows and podcasts at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
No further fireworks from Walker. Good afternoon. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is driven by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Jordan Walker couldn't replicate his home run derby heroics in last night's All-Star game. The American League prevailed 4-0. Only 3 NL hits were recorded. Walker's lone at-bat produced a strikeout, while fellow Cardinal Ivan Herrera grounded out. Riley O'Brien also tossing one scoreless inning. On Friday, STL resumes its schedule against Arizona. NHL, Jim Montgomery's Blues will open their 42-game home slate October 8th versus San Jose. Elsewhere, Steve Yzerman stepping down as Red Wings GM. Detroit's most recent postseason appearance occurred 10 years ago. More hockey conversation next with Chris Kerber. This SportsCenter update was presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
That's Alex. He's Bradford, and I'm BK. Happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues. He joins us each Wednesday here on BK and Ferrario, fresh off of a vacation. Kerbs, how you doing, man?
BK, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing very well. I want to bring you in on the conversation we were just having, Kerbs, because we talked about the news yesterday in the NFL. There's not a whole lot going on, but John Gruden is apparently going to be trying out as a play-by-play guy. He's doing so in a preseason game. He wants to potentially make the transition from analyst to play-by-play broadcaster. Do you think this could work for a former coach who's been in that analyst role before? Is this something that you think could have staying power?
It can work if he wants to work at it and he wants to do it. If he puts the same effort that he did in becoming a great analyst, if he puts the same effort that he did in becoming a great coach, you can try and figure it out. I'm obviously very picky when it comes to this field. And because I still believe there's an art to it, there's a passion to it, there's a drive to it. I think where I get concerned is when you take, I have found very few of the studio hosts that have tried to take on play-by-play. There's far fewer Charlie Steiners out there, that become really good at it. Than there are. And to me, I still believe in old school play-by-play of calling the play, not talking through it, and then every now and then throwing something in there. So, hey, listen, why not give it a shot? If they're going to give him a crack at it, give him a crack at it. There's no doubt the guy's got some knowledge there. So let's see how it goes. I think he's definitely got the passion. So, yeah, why wouldn't it work?
It's talking play-by-play, Curbs, just get you more excited when you see the schedule being released tomorrow and you get 3 days to put on your calendar for the opening of the season.
Yeah, you know what? It is exciting that the home opener is going to be against the San Jose Sharks. I think when you look at that date, it clearly tells me the team is going to open on the road, because the season is opening a little bit early. I think the NHL's first game is September 28th or something like that, the 29th. So Yeah, I'm looking forward to the schedule. I've never had a conversation with the league or somebody in the league about this. And every year I say, I really got to do this. So maybe I do it this year. But I'm going to be curious when I break it down tomorrow and see what the final schedule really looks like. You know, is it similar? Like, are the Blues playing the Dallas Stars in the first game or two of the season? You know, when do you go to Boston? Is that going to be right around the Thanksgiving time? Different things like that, trends that you've seen. Like, we know the Blues are going to be on the road a lot in March. They always are, because the Enterprise Center is such a great facility for those NCAA events, and the basketball tournaments, right? So this year, are they back out west a lot, or do they knock out some of those West Coast trips early? Things like that. We'll see how that all goes, and hopefully it's a pretty balanced schedule all in all for them.
We do have a question on the text line, Curbs, that we have not asked you recently, but
Okay.
Do you know when the Blues are expecting to have some sort of an announcement on where the games can be found this year for Blues fans?
I don't know when. I truly don't know, where that sits at the moment. I'm very confident and that, that they're going to have access to them, and there's going to be plenty of access to them. But the actual details of how that's going and how that's working out, I have not been looped in on any of that yet.
That's fair. Yeah. I was just curious. I know we're with the schedule release this week and everything. It feels like kind of a milestone point. I was curious if there was any sort of an update.
Yeah, I would imagine it will start kind of building towards that once you get closer to training camp starts up.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I do know I'll be doing the games.
on the TV side of things as well, Curbs?
Yeah, on both. Again, we are going to be simulcasting again. And, so I think we had a good year last year, and I'm looking forward to building on it next year. So, I know they've got me and Joey coming back. But in terms of where, that I don't know yet.
And that we'll find out as we get closer.
TBD.
Yeah. Curbs, we found out this past week that Oscar Sundqvist is back on a contract. I know Sonny ended the season with you guys on one of the broadcasts at the end of the game where he said, "I'd die for this note." So it shouldn't surprise me one bit that he re-signed a contract. But is his role going to adapt into being maybe a veteran presence in the minor leagues because there's so many bodies for that NHL roster?
Yeah, I think there's I think that when you look at the fact that they signed him to a two-way deal and he agreed to that, I think he's clearly he's going to go, I don't want to play in the minors. I want to play in the National Hockey League. I want to be a part of this. And injuries, how all that stuff on the Blues roster is going to dictate a lot. But it's clear that if you sign a two-way deal, you're going in with the understanding that you could be down in the minor leagues at some point in time. How much longer his career has, that remains to be seen, but he loves being here. He wants to be here. And, look, if we keep hearing that it's a hard place for the team to go get free agents to come, you want people that want to be here. I think he was a great mentor to some of the young Swedes that we brought over last year. I know last year in camp he had him over to his house a couple times, really took him under his wing. He's a terrific presence. He's a guy his teammates want to have around. I love the fact that he signed this deal. Guys, and look at the competition. If some veteran players come in with some bite and say, man, I'm not ready to step aside yet, they could make it really hard for some of these young players to crack the roster and keep some guys developing in the minors for a little while. I think the camp competition is going to be fantastic.
Chris Kerber is the voice of the Blues, joins us weekly here on BK and Ferrario. Curbs, big news today in the NHL as Steve Yzerman has been let go in Detroit.
Well, yes, but he's kind of now he gets promoted or demoted, however you want to look at it. Now he's just an advisor to the owner.
No longer the president of hockey operations or the GM. That was the way that it was phrased by the Detroit Red Wings. So big news there, and they are one of the teams with the biggest questions remaining this offseason in Dylan Larkin, who requested a trade. Curbs, I did want to ask you two things about this, but we'll start with this. Just what was your reaction to Yzerman getting let go from his current role, at least, with the Detroit Red Wings?
Well, I was surprised. I didn't see it coming. And then when you're surprised and when you didn't see it coming because, you didn't expect it right then and there. The fact that it came out, it puts Detroit behind an 8-ball in terms of how they fill it. Now, to me, almost feels like they've got some plans. Who knows? Does a Chris Draper, does somebody, one of these guys that has been around their organization now for a while, step into that role. You just look at it, and it hasn't worked for Steve Yzerman in Detroit the way it worked for him in Tampa. He built the majority of that team that Tampa turned into a Stanley Cup champion, right? When Breezeball put him over the hump with a couple of moves, he couldn't get that kind of traction in Detroit. And the bigger issue is, where are they going? Like, you don't feel at this point like they got any better this summer, do you? You don't feel like the moves they made at the trade deadline were directional in the way, say, that Doug Armstrong kind of steered the ship for the Blues a few years ago. You know that they're not in a spot to do a total rebuild. They've been in one, as they've missed for the last 9-10 years. So in that sense, it probably should be less surprising than anything, and maybe is a little bit more so just because it's Steve Yzerman and it is Detroit. But I think it's pretty clear that Detroit needs some fresh thought, some fresh blood, some fresh flow somewhere in there. Maybe it's an attempt to keep Dylan Larkin with the Red Wings too. Now, that's not the only reason, but maybe that change becomes part of this. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But guys, what we have seen, as I expand that out to say, be a little bit bigger than just Detroit, man, when you look at whether it's Columbus and the stuff that went on with Werenski, right? You look at, even Ottawa and Brady Tkachuk. You look at these teams that have struggled to find winning traction, and players getting some more power, saying, "I want to go find a place to win." I don't think there's stomachs much more around than. I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks are without a shred of doubt going to feel it this year, in my opinion. I don't think there's stomachs for those 7, 8, 9 year rebuilds anymore around the National Hockey League. And I don't think the players are stomaching it, to be honest with you.
Kerbs, to tie the Yzerman decision into the Blues, Yzerman was a beloved hero in Detroit, won them multiple Stanley Cups, the captain of that team. Do you think, and is there any concern that Alex Steen falls into that area that Steve Yzerman was with Detroit, to where fans just got so frustrated and then you see him kind of moved on from? And does that tarnish his legacy in St. Louis at all?
No, I don't think so at all. Look, no. I mean, really, you don't. I think Steve Yzerman has proven he understands talent and he knows how to build a team. He did it in Tampa. He's been a part of putting a couple of great, Team Canada teams together. I don't, sometimes it works, and just in the end for him, and this is one case where he just couldn't get it through. But should it tarnish his reputation with the Red Wings at all? Not a chance. And I look at the same thing. I don't think there's anything that Alex Steen does as a general manager that tarnishes his reputation of what he meant as a player, in any way. So I don't link the two in really at all, Alex.
You don't think Red Wings fans look differently at Yzerman today than they did 5 years ago?
No. Well, I mean, in the role of general manager, yes. As a player, no. And I guess what I'm saying is I distinguish the two. Do some fans maybe not? Okay, potentially, but and I can tell you, I mean, think about it. It's been a long time since Steve Yzerman played, right? I mean, in terms of that, more younger fans may only know him as general manager, right? May not have the appreciation other than storytelling for what he did on the ice. So maybe there's a twist of that. I guess what I should say is I don't think it should in that sense.
Totally fair.
I also think the difference with Yzerman is, Yzerman had that legacy in Tampa, to where you saw the structure and everyone was like, oh, Yzerman can create championships. And then he comes to Detroit, where there was the background of him being the captain, and he never was able to build a championship. So I think there's more frustration of how'd you do it in Tampa and not in Detroit versus you're a Detroit Red Wing and you weren't a great general manager.
Yeah, I think there's a difference in expectations that are set out from the beginning.
Steen's coming in to where it's just you're new in this role.
They were also sold what feels like a bag of goods in the Yzer plan, where it was, hey, wait with us, and they just never got to the end of that.
But that Yzer plan was because of Tampa, because Tampa was so good at drafting and developing Stamkos and Hedman and Kucherov, and they're like, oh, well, you could do this here.
Yeah, but guys, park all that and go a little bit beyond that.
Sure.
For me, and not so much with Yzerman specifically, but just in general. I mean, he hasn't had a whole lot of success with some middle round picks and stuff like that. But, there have been some pretty good players that he's picked, right? The thing is, the difference is he just didn't advance it enough. And what we've seen is the NHL change here. I mean, Vegas has changed the National Hockey League, in my opinion. The aggressiveness, what it takes to keep a player, what players are looking for, things like that. And so let's pull it back to the St. Louis Blues. You've got a lot of good young talent to be excited about. How many times have we said not all of them are going to continue to play here? I mean, at some point in time, there's going to be another Tage Thompson for Ryan O'Reilly type deal, right, to advance the process. And where if Steve Yzerman, in my opinion, made any kind of real mistake in I think you can make the same case for Kevin Adams. You can make in Buffalo. You can make the same case for Jarmo Kekalainen in Columbus. They just didn't advance it quickly enough. And here's a great example of what I'm talking about here. Okay, they gave time for those young guys in Detroit, the Mo Siders and stuff, to continue to grow defensively. Right? They gave time for Dahlin and maybe Owen Powers to grow defensively in Buffalo. Right? Look what the St. Louis Blues just did in that trade for Brandon Carlo. They made it so Jiricek does not have to play here next year if he's not ready for it, right? They made it where there may only be one young defenseman in that lineup. Theo Lindstein doesn't have to be on this roster next year for the Blues, with the veteran depth that they've got right now. So that to me is the biggest difference, and that's why I've got a lot more confidence in the way this thing has been built with Doug Armstrong than from some other teams we've seen from around the National Hockey League.
Are the Blues doing that same thing if those guys are top 5 picks, though? Because that's the difference in Detroit and in Buffalo, right? The guys you're talking about, they waited for them and they allowed them the opportunity to fail at the NHL level. Those guys, for the most part, were picked in the top 5, Kerbs.
Yeah. No, that is true. That is true, BK. To me, the biggest difference is they didn't get surrounded by enough veterans. They weren't surrounded by guys to help show them the ropes a little bit. Now, but the Blues haven't had those high picks. Okay, I mean, so there is that difference there. But I saw it with Doug Armstrong when he took over in 2010, and he immediately brought in veteran guys like a Langenbrunner, like an Arnott, like a Brendan Moore, and he brought veteran guys to put around Berglund, Oshie, Perron, Pietrangelo, and these guys to help bring this process along. I don't think that these other teams have done enough of that to speed them up. So, one, if we're picking top 5, we're worse, so I guess that's a positive. At the same time, I still think that you can bring guys along even if they are top 5 picks or higher picks in a different way that doesn't, I guess, prolong that rebuild to the point that it becomes, a 7-10 year period, stuff like that. I mean, that's a long time and a lot of bad hockey. And I like, whether it be Doug's philosophy or however you look at it, he's always made sure that there's veteran guys to bring. I mean, look, Brandon Carlo on a 1-year contract, guys, in a contract year to prove himself, incredible. Right? Okay. And imagine just if he comes out to prove himself to earn another 2, 3, or 4-year contract, or even just another 1-year contract, right? You imagine the ability to put him out there with a Cam Fowler and a Colton Parayko and a Philip Broberg and a Logan Mailloux continuing to develop, right? While you still got Tyler Tucker and while now you're working in Jiricek, and Lindstein, you've helped the process along. I just I don't see enough of these teams that stay in the bottom. The Chicago Blackhawks, a great example of it. To advance a process more efficiently than they have.
And maybe a trade for Alex Nikishin to add to the defensive core, right, Kerbs?
Okay, you make a move like that. That changes kind of the makeup of it, and I just don't know or don't see how that part goes. But we will see. I don't know that they need to make that move. Do you?
I don't think they need to, but I think this is the best time to make a move like that is because you don't need to.
And
Kerbs.
he fits the identity that they're looking for. Big,
I was gonna mention this. Like, I think part of what happened in Detroit is they tried to advance it almost too quickly. Yeah. I know that sounds strange because it's been 10 years since they've made the playoffs, which is a disaster for a place like Detroit. But Yzerman gets there 2019, and they go through a true rebuild, which was painful and it sucked. But then, like, by 2023, they bring in DeBrincat, Comfort, Perron, Kane, Kopp, Sherratt, Mata. Like, they brought in a bunch of veterans, Curbs. These guys just mostly stunk.
Yeah,
like,
they made bad decisions on different players.
And then they, at the deadline this year, bring in for a first-round selection, Justin Falk. And they've bet on the, seemingly at least, the wrong players, and it has not worked for them. But to go back to your question on...
And who do you hang that on? That's on the GM, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think it's the right call. Yeah. Like, I think moving on from Yzerman, I thought there were more reasons to move on than there were to keep him, and the only reason I thought they would keep him is because of his standing within the organization and his history there. But on Nikishin, Curbs, the reason that I think it could potentially make some sense on this or at this time is because, hey, the Blues don't have, you know, a necessity here. They're not desperate to do it. So if Carolina says, you know what, we'll do like Lindstein plus a first-round pick for Nikishin. Blues get a young player who fits into their timeline that's very good, that's a little bit more advanced on that timeline than somebody like a Lindstein. I think it could make a lot of sense for them.
I could make the case for both, which does not make for good sports radio. I understand that. Okay, but I just look at kind of where they're at, and to me, if I'm going for a Nikishin, I'm not looking at Nikishin to take the place of a Lindstein or a Jiricek. Okay, you know, to me it's a veteran spot that you open up, you know, for that, because the way they're coming along now.
What do you mean by that, Kurt? Explain that a little bit.
Well, what I mean by that is, I think you've seen enough of Lindstein that you want to see if you have this player that you've got even more control on, right? And I know how high they are on Jiricek, right? You've got Fowler under contract for another couple of years. Obviously, you've got the Parayko contract. You just signed, you know, Broberg, and then you've only got Arlo in there for the 1-year deal. I don't see bringing in Nikishin to replace one of those young guys at this point in time. I see Nikishin being that middle guy to push a veteran guy out if you're going to go get him. You know, now look, if you can get him, and it to me doesn't cost you a Jiricek or a Lindstein, you know what?
Not happening.
I'm all for trying it, but I don't know how that would happen.
And my thought was,
that's why, like that. To your point, they're not in that need
right
now. Look, the flip side is, you know, and this is one where, you know, Carolina also doesn't have to deal this guy.
No doubt.
Right now. You know, so, you know, wait and see what happens here.
My only thought with the Lindstein being the replacement for Nikishin is that's advancing the process, isn't it? You're bringing in a guy who's a little bit older, who has a full year of experience, and who has just put up 11 goals and 40 points and played defensive hockey 18 minutes a night for a Stanley Cup champion. Isn't that what you hope Lindstein becomes? And if you can get him now and lock him up to a long-term contract, would that be smarter to advance the process for you?
It's a fair thought. It's a fair idea. It'll cost you more on the cap for sure. You've got plenty of cap space, or at least some cap space. Okay, but keep in mind, you know, the cap is going to go up still, even some more. But, you know, there's some RFAs coming within a year or two that are going to be big-time RFAs for you. I guess where I simply go to this is I like the way they put this defensive core together. I like the security of what they did by adding Brandon Carlo at a very fair and reasonable price, right? And to me, before I make that move for somebody like Nikishin, I want to see how the plan plays out and trust the staff that decided to put this together that way. And then, having said that, who knows? Maybe they just deal for him tomorrow.
Give us something to talk about.
For me, if it's Lindstein and a first for Nikishin and you're upgrading that spot, yes, you're getting more expensive, but agreed, Curbs, you're not in a spot right now where it's problematic for you against the cap, at least for the next couple of seasons. And if you tell me your top four defensively is Broberg, Mailloux, Nikishin, and Parayko, and your third pair is Cam Fowler with Carlo, and you've got Juracek waiting in the wings. Tucker's your seventh guy. Man, that's an awesome defensive core right there.
And you still got depth on the left side.
Yep. That's why I said you can justify it.
Yep.
You can absolutely justify it. It's just I see a door for two of these young guys to continue to grow in with this team. So we'll see how that all plays out. Listen, it's again, guys. But that's where we're talking about. If you go back to what we were saying with Yzerman and some of these other teams, right? The Blues have put them in that spot, right, where they can play in both waters and still be fine right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got that ability, and there are not a whole lot of teams that you can say that
And that's from
about.
Drafting and developing properly.
Yeah, San Jose, the Blues.
Yeah.
There are a limited
Utah's
number of
there,
teams that are really in that criteria currently. And most of those teams that we just mentioned that aren't named the Blues, they were picking top five.
Yeah, they were tanking.
The Blues did not.
And trade your young guys a year before you're supposed to. Bobby Plager's old philosophy on that, I still see it ring true, right? You can get more for what people think the potential is before they prove that some of them don't have it, right?
Look at last year.
Look at Dominic Bach.
That's a big part of that.
Yeah, I mean, look at Zach Bolduc.
Yeah.
Who's I think is a good player.
But he was a one-trick pony in the power play specialist.
I think we saw, hey, the Blues used him correctly. They used him properly, and he maybe caps out as a 20-goal scorer that's a power play specialist. Nothing wrong with that.
But again, that move only happens because of what they saw from Jimmy Snuggerud, right? In that short window of time. That happened because they were dealing from a position of strength and had wingers. And then they had also drafted Carbonneau, right? Mm-hmm. So at that point in time, they said, we are moving from a position of strength here to take a chance on a young defenseman. That's how that works. If they're not comfortable with Snuggerud, especially, I'm not so sure that same deal happens.
Yeah, and that speaks to the drafting prowess that they've had here in St. Louis. Curves, appreciate the time as always, man. Great catching up. Hopefully you're refreshed after your vacation, and we'll talk with you next week about the schedule release, which is expected to take place later on this week.
You got it, guys. Awesome stuff there, and have a great week. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
You do the same. That's Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joins us each and every Wednesday here on BK and Ferrario. Just saw this, Alex, a piece posted moments ago. How will this trade deadline go? All-Stars give their takes. The Cardinals prominently represented in this future. We'll give you our thoughts on that. And what's the value of the best middle infield defensively in Major League Baseball? Fangraphs had an interesting piece on that. We'll discuss it next here on 101 ESPN.
It's a weekend MLB doubleheader Saturday. Yankees and Dodgers. First pitch at 7:08. Then Sunday it's Game 2. First pitch at 6:20. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. WXOS, WXOS HD1E St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the 30-day new Nissan Return Promise. We're right back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer is presented by Bet365. With Bet365 early payout, you win even if they lose. Get paid out instantly when your team goes up big, even if they blow the lead later. Bet365. Winning is everything.
Alex, Junk Drawer is going to look, feel, and sound a little different today. We're going to talk a little trade deadline.
Talk sports.
Mark Feinsand of MLB.com put together a good piece earlier today on what All-Stars were saying about the trade deadline. He mentioned a few teams in particular that are noteworthy leading into this year's deadline. The Marlins, Nationals, Pirates, and Cardinals, all part of a cluttered NL wildcard race, adding 4 teams into the mix that prior to the season many predicted would be surefire sellers. Quote, the surprising play of those 4 teams might turn things the other way, adding a quartet of unexpected buyers into the fray. Now, he did get some quotes from players from those respective teams. His quote from the Cardinals All-Star was Riley O'Brien, who said the following: what's great about our clubhouse is that there's not really much outside noise. We're playing hard for each other, and whatever happens at the deadline happens.
All right. Feel like I learned a lot there. Let's go, guys.
And that was more or less the theme of the piece.
So whatever happens will happen.
That's right.
Cool.
Alex,
cool.
I am curious, and we'll get to the Cardinals middle infield defense here in just a moment.
It's good because the segment's going to die quick. Yeah. Whatever happens, happens, man.
There are 3 teams in the American League that find themselves right now more than 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. Mm-hmm. Those teams are the Athletics, the Royals, and the Angels. The Detroit Tigers, who felt like a guaranteed seller at many different points this season, 3.5 games back, despite being 8 games below 500.
Still going to trade Tarek Skubal, though.
The Twins, who are currently below 500, are tied for a wild card spot today in the American League. In the National League, it's much of the same. The Reds, Giants, Mets, and Rockies are the only 4 teams more than 4 games out of a playoff spot right now. And much like in the American League, those teams don't have a ton to offer when it comes to like expiring deals, your traditional sellers at the deadline, what you would typically expect to see moved at the deadline. The Mets have a lot of big salaries. The Giants have some huge salaries that they would love nothing more than to offload. But there aren't many teams that take those on at this time of the year. So when you view it through that prism, Alex, and you look at where the Cardinals are at as we approach the second half of the season, what's your current view on their deadline plans?
I think they sell. And it's not because they feel like, well, we can't do anything, so we need to move on. It's because of the market that you just listed off. What do those teams have to sell that isn't a long-term commitment to a team that's buying?
Not a ton.
I mean, just go through it. Athletics, I don't think they're selling any of their young big pieces. The Royals, they don't really have anything worth selling. And what they do, they've already said, well, we're not going to give it away.
That's the thing. They could sell Walker. They could sell Lugo. I don't think you're getting a ton for Lugo, and he has a no-trade clause. But with Walker, like, you could get a decent return back.
That dude's an all-star.
But they're apparently not selling him. So,
Angels don't have anything. The best thing that they have is probably Mike Trout. Nobody's going to trade for that.
Controllable pitching. But again, I don't think that John Mozeliak is moving controllable starting pitchers at the deadline.
You're not going to get much for it. And the Giants, the Mets, bloated contracts. The Reds, I don't know what they'd be selling. And the Rockies, I don't think have much. So I'd look at the Cardinals and say, like, look, I think teams like Pittsburgh and the Diamondbacks and the Padres, depending on them, going in the opposite direction when they return, I think they're cautious buyers / just stand pat and see what they can do, which might give the Cardinals the opportunity to capitalize on a market. If a lot of these teams don't want to sell or can't sell, then you want pitching that you don't have to commit to. Well, we got bullpen and starters. Yep. You want a younger outfielder that could provide some middle-of-the-order help in Lars Nootbaar. We've got that. You want asset pieces that could be a part of your roster off of the bench. We've got that. Just like last season, felt like they were going to be a one-stop shop for everything if they sold. I think they could kind of be in that same spot. And honestly, you could take advantage of a market that maybe not be as exciting because you've got these players that don't have the commitment.
That's the thing to me that I find really interesting about their spot in the marketplace. They can provide so many different positions, so many different needs for these teams. And when so many teams are incentivized to buy and so few teams are either incentivized or have what it takes to sell, well, now you've got a market that is a true seller's market. And there is not enough out there to be able to provide for everybody, so prices continuously go up and up and up. And that means you can get more than what you would otherwise expect for a player like a Jojo Romero or like Dustin May or Lars Nootbaar, right? These guys suddenly become that much more attractive to other teams when there are no other alternatives to what they can provide for you. And you mentioned another one with the bench bats, like, imagine what the Cardinals could get. I'm not telling you that it's going to be a ton, but they could maybe get an asset for like a Nelson Velasquez. A team may view that and say, wait, right-handed thump off of the bench who can come in a wild card setting or a divisional series setting and give us a big-time at-bat with some power against a lefty that comes into the game and then can at least adequately, even if not well, play in the outfield for us.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a piece that we always are looking for at the trade deadline, and he's cheap.
Yeah, well, and what if somebody wants to go upside, maybe with a Nolan Gorman? I don't know if anybody does.
I don't think you're getting anything there.
What about a Jose Fermin, if he continues to perform well, an asset, a utility piece?
I think some of those, like the guys that are going to be here for a little bit longer, I think the Cardinals just keep them around. Like Jose Fermin is under club control next year, pre-arbitration for $795,000.
Yeah.
I don't think they trade him. But what is Nelson Velasquez's long-term role here with the Cardinals? He probably doesn't have one. I think probably long-term, Blaze Jordan has his role of being the right-handed bat coming off of the bench that can provide a little bit of power. Or you just already have that guy in your lineup every day with Joshua Baez, right? Similar kind of a profile. He may literally just take the 26-man spot from Nelson Velasquez. It provides you with more certainty in the outfield, all of that. So I think the Cardinals might end up selling as a like advantageous situation, right? You know, you hear these general managers talk about that, what the opportunities could exist every year. I just wonder who they ultimately land on.
Yeah.
And that's the piece of this that I find to be more difficult is I don't know if they're going to get a buyer for Dustin May. I think this is going to be a really important 2-week stretch here for him, for JoJo, and for some of these pieces to find out how the rest of the league's going to value them and if it becomes worth their while for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and do we see something like we saw with Bader and Montgomery a couple of years ago? Can they flip some of these assets to go get something that helps them now and for the future? Because, again, I think it's an easy sell for the Cardinals of selling pieces at the deadline because you've got internal replacements that you're excited about. But can you do that on top of bringing something in that helps you for the rest of this push, but is going to be here for the next 2 years?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think they're going to do that. No, I think that if you see it, their way to sell it would be less about, hey, we also brought in this other thing. I think it would be more of, we stuck with our plan. We are improving for the future, and we believe that we can maintain our current level of performance by going to Joshua Baez in the outfield, Bryson Motts in the bullpen, Quinn Matthews in our rotation.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's where you look at your quote-unquote replacements. You get more flexibility, you get more upside, and you're hoping that you can maintain the same level of play for right now.
Yeah.
I think that's the way they would sell
I
it.
just mean if you could find a young arm that could come up and be in the same mix as Hunter Dobbins and Quinn Matthews, can you accomplish that with some of the pieces that you're moving now? To help a team for the now and get something back that maybe can push for something now, but will be a part of it next year.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about for a minor leaguer.
Yeah.
I thought when you said the Bader for Montgomery deal, I thought you meant like getting somebody that's a major leaguer right now.
No,
I don't know that those deals are out there.
No, I'm with you there.
Year.
No, I kind of meant like to where it feels like it's not a sell. You're bringing something in that you say, well, that could be a part of our rotation next year. Maybe
But
it's
that
a
would
guy
feel like a sell.
Maybe, but
year.
maybe it's a guy that got a couple of starts at the major league level on another team, but he's just not
Still a sell.
in a spot. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I mean, I guess you'd look at it that way, but I look at it as if I'm getting something that is going to be a part of my team next year and could potentially push for it.
But if we're talking about for 2026, for
Yeah,
27,
I mean,
sure, you may improve there.
Yeah.
But for 2026,
Yeah, I guess it is a sell.
it's a sell.
Yeah.
Right?
Unless
if
you've
the
got
Blues did the
spots
same
available.
thing where they traded an NHL level player right now for a guy that's in the AHL, but has had a cup of coffee in the NHL level, we would call that a sell at the trade deadline, right?
Yeah, probably. Because you're putting something up there. Yeah, I guess that's right.
I think the same thing would be viewed as true for the Cardinals, personally. But they have catching depth. They have bullpen arms. They've got some outfielders. They've got a little bit of everything, and it's such a crowded field in the playoff mix right now that, boy, is it going to be an interesting decision for them as they get closer to the trade deadline. And I'll be fascinated to see how the fan base approaches this thing. If they're in that final wild card spot and they decide to do what we're talking about here, will that be met with praise or criticism? I truly don't know. I can't get a good vibe on that right now. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, do you think most fans would be in favor of paying Jordan Walker $250 million today? We'll talk about that in about 15 minutes. More likely to happen next year on 101 ESPN.
You can now watch 101 ESPN live on our Air Alliance Team Studio Cams. Catch every show live on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. 101 ESPN Studio Cams.
Presented by the Air Alliance Team Heating and Cooling. Getting the job done quickly, correctly, 100% of the time.
This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. What's more likely to happen? They'll figure it out. BK and Ferrario's most likely to happen.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely here on 101 ESPN. Let's start out with this. We were talking about it a little off air. If you had to rank your top three Christopher Nolan films, how you looking at that, Alex?
Dark Knight would be number one, like clear cut. Nobody else is in that tier. I'd have Dark Knight Rises 3, and I think I would have Inception 2.
I thought you hated Dark Knight Rises.
I didn't like it compared to Dark Knight, but of the other Christopher Nolan films, that's
During the
probably
break,
up
Alex
there.
said Dark Knight Rises sucked.
Well, but like we're going off of the other Christopher Nolan films, and I did not like Interstellar. I don't like space films. I thought Oppenheimer was bad.
Really?
Yeah, boring as all hell.
Oh, wow. Okay. Disagreement.
So that would probably be the ranking that I'd have. I liked Inception. I'm just too dumb to watch that movie.
Here's a hot take for you. Batman Begins superior to The Dark Knight Rises. Not The Dark Knight.
Okay. That's not a hot take. That's a very smart take.
Top 3, The Dark Knight, Inception. Honestly, 1A and 1B. Okay? And I'm giving a little love to what I think is a criminally underrated Nolan film. That's The Prestige. That's number 3 for me. I know people would say Memento maybe, but The Prestige.
You mentioned the one that I think gets criminally underrated, which is Memento. I'll go 1, Interstellar, 2, Inception, and then for me, 3, I'll go Dark Knight. Memento closely behind, though. I really like Dunkirk as well.
Dunkirk was okay. Dunkirk was okay.
Oppenheimer, I was a big fan. All right, let's get to more likely to
Odyssey,
happen.
I feel like will be number 2 on this list after I see it.
314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. More likely to be traded by the Cardinals at this year's deadline, Alex. Lars Nootbaar or Dustin May?
Dustin May. I think Lars Nootbaar, there's a real chance that he could be an off-season move. And you put him in center field and let Josh Baez play left field. Or you give Baez a little bit of center field to see what he can do. I think Dustin May, if they're looking at selling, I think that guy is going to be somebody that teams look at.
I have the same answer for the same reasons. Bradford?
I'm with you 100%. I think, honestly, especially if May can get back into that category of giving you 6 or so innings, he becomes that much more tantalizing to other suitors. I've always been in the camp that Nootbaar has felt like an off-season move, especially given the way he started, rejoining the team post-injury. That's something you do entering the winter, perhaps.
Alex?
Guys, more likely to happen. The Blues finish above 500 at the end of October or are below 500 after the month of November?
Above 500 at the end of October. I don't think this is a team that's going to be below 500. I think they're better than that.
I like this, Brandon Kiley.
I don't know if they're going to be like a top 3 team in the Central. I would bet against it, but I think they're going to be competing for a playoff spot.
I'm saying above 500 after October. I think October is going to be the main focus of this team to come out flying.
Give me the former as well. 2 words, fast start, right? Absolutely. Let's switch it to the association, guys, because it's been well established by now. We know the next couple of days could be pretty agonizing in the sports world, which makes me wonder, could we hear from the king? More likely to happen, LeBron James chooses his next destination by Friday, or he waits until August 6th. Why that date? Because then AD, Anthony Davis, can get the max extension.
That's an interesting one. I'll say by Friday. I saw Rich Paul apparently postponed his podcast today.
Hey now.
Okay.
So that felt...
Yeah. Why would he...
I saw that on Twitter. I don't get mad at me if that's not true, but...
Twitter's always right. Yeah, I'll kind of go with what PK said there.
No podcast from Rich Paul today for the first time on a Wednesday since everything started.
Well, it's the ESPYs, though. Maybe that's why he's taking it off.
Maybe.
Focusing on the big day it is in sports.
Yeah. I'm going to guess he did that for a reason.
Yeah. Too many voice memos. They're piling up. They're just piling up.
Yeah, I'll say he does it by this weekend.
Yeah, I will too.
No? August?
No. He's going to draw this out. He's going to draw the finale decision, the final one out for as long as possible. And why voice memos, we should say, as well, because those can be documented, right? They can be parsed together as a portion of the docu-series that will happen.
Another reason
I 100% believe that.
Dislike LeBron.
How would you feel if LeBron waits until the trade deadline?
To sign? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I already don't have the best feeling about LeBron, so that would just be I get it. I mean, hell, how much... Although he's
like 100 years old.
I was going to say, how much, he doesn't feel like he does a lot of load management, although I guess they do in terms of keeping LeBron. I don't know. I think that's a cop-out move. I think if you're going to come back for one season, you need to play the full season.
On the side, though, he's doing whatever it takes to stay in shape.
Well, if that's the case, then why are you signing at the deadline?
In the realm of possibility.
To make sure that you're fresh for the playoffs. Because you want to chase a ring by the end. I mean... Look back at Michael. Michael played half of a season, got back, and didn't end up winning the title that year, which is why it's a fraud that everybody says he won 6 straight. No, he played in the playoffs and he lost. But we don't count that one, apparently.
Which one are you talking about?
When he came back in 95.
Is that when he was playing with the White Sox?
Oh, well, he played half the season that year.
It was the Knicks series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wasn't that when he was playing with the White Sox?
Not anymore.
Well, I know.
He came back to play basketball.
Yeah, but didn't he play with White Sox and then come to the... So you're comping Michael Jordan, who tried to play in a different sport.
94-95. Played 20 games that year in the regular season, came back, and then in the playoffs, they did not win the title. He played in 10 playoff games. He did not win the title.
Comping Michael Jordan, who tried to play another sport, to LeBron, who's saying, I need to rest so that I'm ready to go for post-trade deadline.
And that's when the rift really started with Scottie.
Well, now we know who else he doesn't like. Michael Jordan. He thinks LeBron's better than Jordan, just like he doesn't like Derek Jeter.
We tell ourselves some stories about what the folklore is of Michael Jordan, who did not win 6 consecutive titles, won 6 out of 7 when he was playing. Also, Michael Jordan that year was 31. LeBron James is going to be 42.
Well, LeBron could never do it himself.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Flat out did. But okay, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You give us 2 scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely. From the 314, by the way. Nobody says he won 6 straight. Always say 3 in a row twice. He was just in 6 for 6 in the finals. No. That's not true. People absolutely
Just
say he won 6
stop listening to BK, ladies and gentlemen. The guy is a biased sports fan, and he only likes people that he likes.
NBA talk in the Lou, it's a win either way.
Derek Jeter, LeBron James, Barry Bonds.
From the 618. Now, don't put those 3 in the same category.
See? You all see who he likes.
Jeter's a fraud. LeBron's the best player
Barry
ever.
Bonds.
And Barry Bonds is the greatest
ladies
ever
and gentlemen.
More likely to happen. Weatherholt wins an MVP or Snuggerud wins a Hart Trophy.
Oh, MVP for Walker.
Weatherholt?
Oh, yeah, Weatherholt. Yeah. Snuggerud's not winning the Hart Trophy.
Agreed.
JJ.
If Snuggerud ever puts up more than 100 points, I'll get a tattoo of his face on me.
More likely to happen. Mizzou plays in the SEC championship game this year, or Illinois plays in the Big Ten title game
Almost
this
had
year.
to dump you on that one, man. I'm assuming we're talking football for Illinois because you said Big Ten championship. So, yeah, I'll go that one. Oh, just stop.
Man. No, I have to think about it for
Sure
a
you
minute,
do.
just because,
Sure you
the
do.
overall class, the weight class that is the Big Ten coming into
not
this
Mizzou.
season versus the SEC.
We just talked about this. Drink can't win the big game, man.
Are you absolutely certain about the QB position if you are Illinois? That's all I'll say. Are you absolutely certain? Because Altmaier was that rock, right? He was the catalyst for the offense. Let's see how Illinois feels about some sporadic, inconsistent QB play next season.
314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. From the Ivan Herrera worshiper, more likely, Soriano becomes the new closer if the Cardinals trade O'Brien, or Quinn Matthews makes his MLB debut this season. Quinn Matthews.
Yeah.
I think he's going to make his debut in the second half.
I think Gastelum's your closer if Riley O'Brien moves on.
I think that's right.
I think he's got the swing and miss stuff that they'd look at.
How worried are you about Soriano in the second half of the season, especially if a couple of parts from the bullpen get moved out? We've seen diminished returns lately.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. I liked that clap there.
I did too. That was
punctuating the sentence
was that
with the
like
clap
the,
on the radio.
10 out of 10. Bradford just celebrating
Nailed
himself.
the landing. Coming up next. So...
Nailed it, big boy.
What's the deadline piece you're most happy to have on the Cardinals in their system right now from a couple of years ago? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777. Social with 101 ESPN. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
Stagnant offense dooms senior circuit. Good afternoon. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is presented by Universal Windows Direct. Last night, the American League came away with its 11th victory in 13 years. Jordan Walker made his first All-Star appearance, striking out late. NL batters managed just 3 hits altogether. Cards closer Riley O'Brien did throw a scoreless third inning. Second half action gets underway for St. Louis on Friday. NHL, all 32 home openers have been announced. 101 ESPN will spotlight Blues Sharks October 8th. Next hour, World Cup wise, Argentina-England kicks off. This afternoon's semifinal winner meets Spain July 19th. Your Sports Center update was powered by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We'll get to the trade deadline piece that we most covet here in just a moment. But Alex, I saw this earlier today on Twitter. 2 things. One came from Jeff Jones of the Belleville News-Democrat, who mentioned Austin Riley's contract when it comes to Jordan Walker as one that you could potentially point to. He said, the unparalleled knowledge and skills of the great John Becker turned up one very interesting mega extension parallel to Jordan Walker. Austin Riley signed for 10 years at $210 million the August before his first arbitration winter 4 years ago. It was his age 25 season. Jordan Walker is notably a year younger, but third base has a more premium defensive value than right field. Riley at the time was in the midst of his second MVP caliber season, not his first, and he already had a ring on the board 4 years later. How close would a theoretical Walker deal be to that? And that was in response to Sandy McMillan, who I think does really good work over at the Redbird Rants podcast, where he said, would you give Walker a $300 million contract today? Out of the 1,000 votes, 67% of people say no. Would not be willing to do that today. Alex, I think the Austin Riley contract is, relatively speaking, outdated at this point. I don't think Walker would sign that. 10 years, $212 million.
No.
That takes him through his age 34 season. The years are too many. The money is too light. I don't think he would sign that contract.
It's too little
today.
of money, in my opinion. I think if you're him, you're talking 250 plus.
I think you're looking at Nolan Arenado. Now, it's different in terms of how it's structured and all of that, but Nolan Arenado had $260 million guaranteed to him on an 8-year contract. I think that's the starting point. And Derek Gould said something similar yesterday where he thinks 250 is the starting point for any kind of a negotiation with Jordan Walker. My question to you is this. Would you do that today? If Walker's agent came to you and said, hey, we'll do 8 years, $260 million, are you signing the dotted line?
The follow-up question I'd have is, because Derek talked about this yesterday with us, how much is it going to change if he goes on another run this upcoming year? Like, let's say first...
I don't know. He said not much. I don't know if I buy that, but
I don't either.
Defer to Derek's expertise.
In my opinion, I feel like you're talking closer to 325 to 350 if he does this again next year, and that's why I would sign it. If you gave me a contract of 8 years, $260 million, save your texts because I know it's a massive risk. It gets riskier if he does it again next year, and he's asking for $100 million more than what he's getting right now. He's a year older. I think I would bank on the upside of what you're seeing, and I would go off of trying to save myself $50 to $100 million less if I can get him locked up at the end of this season. So, 8 by 260, I'd sign it now. You can't waffle on this when you said yesterday the home run derby, you were all on board.
I think I'd do it.
There we go. That's my guy.
I'd do it.
That's my guy.
It would be super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It would be one of those things where Mo has always talked about the puke point. This is my puke point, where I feel like I need a bucket nearby to catch whatever comes up. But, man, if it works out, I've locked up J.J. Weatherholtz and Jordan Walker for 8 years apiece, and I know what it's going to cost me to have both of them in my pipeline, And combined, even when they're the most expensive they get for you here in St. Louis, it'll be about $60 million, a little less than that. And we're talking 8 years down the road when hopefully there's even more money in the coffers for the Cardinals. That's when it costs them $60 million potentially. And look at what the money was 8 years ago in Major League Baseball compared to today. I mean, it continues to exponentially increase.
Here's a question for you, because you use this reference a lot, and I love it because it's from Family Guy. Would you say Jordan Walker's the boat, or is Jordan Walker the mystery box?
Explain a little further,
because
I'm gonna need some more clarity in what I'm trying to answer.
What we always
here.
do with this is, like you're saying, you want to bank on the upside with it. And in this scenario, Jordan Walker is the guy that we're seeing. So the contract you're giving out right now is because you're saying, like, this dude's a boat. This dude is going to only get better from here.
Yes.
I'm not going to find this in my system. I need to bank on this. Or for the people that are saying, well, I need another year of this. Is this dude the mystery box? Because if you're saying, no, I'm going to go with the mystery box and see what's in there for next year. He's not good. You saved yourself some money and you're in the worst spot that you're in now. Or he's even better and you're paying more money.
I'll try to answer it the best way that I can, Alex, which is not going to probably actually answer the question, but I'll try. Jordan Walker is an unknown still because you don't know how this is going to play for, 3 years from now. And you don't have to sign an extension. I think that's an important part of all of this, and it's what we talked about with the J.J. Weatherholt stuff. If you don't sign an extension with Walker, he's still here for 3 more years, right? Like, you have that locked in today. He's not going anywhere for 3 years because you have his arbitration rights for the next 3 years, barring something unforeseen upcoming in the CBA that will change that.
Sure, 3 years from now, though, when you're trying to win, he's a free agent.
4 years, but yeah, potentially. And that's where you have to pony up if he becomes the player that we're talking about.
And that's probably, if he is the player you're talking about, you're talking 350, 400.
Potentially. And that's, I just don't know. I don't know. I would probably do it, but it's not my money. It's easy for me to say, yeah, I'd hand over, $250 million. It's a lot harder when I actually have to be the one that's on the, this is on me. If he isn't the player that he was this year, you're immediately going to regret that deal. I mean, we brought up the Austin Riley contract. Dude, the Braves regret that deal. They wish they didn't sign him early because then they could just get out of it this offseason. They would probably non-tender him. He's that bad. He is not a capable, upside player in a championship caliber team. He was for a few years, and then it completely fell off of a cliff. Is that going to happen to Walker? I don't think so. I think I buy this. What we saw in the home run derby, that's real talent, right? But we've seen real talent with other guys that it didn't last 8 years. It didn't last 5 years for them. So I can't say there's no risk in this. So there is some mystery box element still that remains with Jordan Walker.
But the mystery box elements are going to be there no matter what, because even when he says it for another year, people are going to be saying, yeah, but is it worth $350 million? We've only seen him do it for a year and a half.
There's always going to be some
conversation is going to happen all the way up until he becomes a free agent, and then you're having to pay $400, and then the argument will be, well, he's getting too older, so I don't know if we want to pay him that money. The reason I said boat versus mystery box right now is I feel like you've seen and he's answered a lot of the questions people have had about him. How do you adapt? What do you look like for a good 3-month span? And he's been the same player from start to finish. Even with slumps, he's figured it out.
Still only 95 games in, though.
I understand that, but you have to take a risk at some point.
But do you have to do it now?
Do you have to do it now? No, but are you going to take a more expensive risk next year?
Maybe. And that's the part of this that I think is worthy of discussion. I do not think this is a clear-cut thing one way or the other.
No, I don't either, but me personally, I look at this as if I can save myself $50 to $75 million and lock him up for 8 years, I'll take that risk now versus next year he doesn't, and then what's to say he doesn't fall off after that? Why is 1.5 years of consistency going to make me feel any better about this? It's more money.
You would agree, though. You'll feel better about Jimmy Snuggerud's projection if you see it for a year and a half than if you saw it for 6 months.
Yeah, but if I could get him at 9.5 versus 11 mil, I'd feel better about the 9.5. Like Vlad Guerrero Jr., people got the evidence that they wanted, and now look at the money that they threw at him.
I thought it was worth it.
Well, I did too, but could you have gotten that for a little bit cheaper a couple of years ago before you had to wait for more evidence. So
Maybe. I don't think he was willing to do it, though. And that's part of this, too. We don't know where Walker's at on all of this.
Yeah. And if I'm him, I'm waiting it out because I want as much money as possible.
And if Derek's right, if the money doesn't change, if it remains the same next year that it is right now, and I don't know, none of us truly have the answer on that, but if he is correct on that, and it's going to be $260 million today or $260 million this time next year, well, then you wait. Because if you're not increasing the money in any sizable way, then you just wait to do it until next year. So there are so many factors at play here. I would probably do it. I would probably sign the dotted line and say, hey, listen, if this guy doesn't become a star, where are we getting it? So we've got to just bet on the come line here and hope that it's right. And if we're wrong, well, at least we tried. And you can sell that to your fan base and say, hey, we did what we could. It didn't work out with Walker. Now for the next 5 years, hopefully you guys can bye-bye with us because this guy's making $30 million a year, and we were wrong. And we all wanted to do this together. We were all in it together. Remember that when we were all in this together? I don't know, man. There is real risk involved in this.
Every year is going to be risk. It's just a matter of how expensive do you want to get risky with. And that's where I feel like if you're giving me 260 versus 350, I'll go 260.
My just final thing on this, and I'll be curious your thoughts, Alex, and we'll get to the rewind on the other side. You're right. It's always risky to sign the deal. But we're, I think, ignoring the alternative here. It's possible he reverts back to something closer to what he once was. And I'm not talking about after the contract is signed. I'm talking about next year. It's possible that this is the career year for Walker, and it's never as good as it is right now. And if that's the case, and next year, if you don't sign the deal now and you wait for one more year of evidence, and next year he is that, he's like a 115 OPS plus, right? He's 15% above the average, which is still a good hitter, but it's more in line with like J.J. Weatherholt, Brendan Donovan level of production than what he is this year, which is an MVP candidate. Well, then the reason that you waited is because you got that evidence, and now you just don't sign him to an extension, right? And the price drops from what we're talking about right now. So that's the other piece of this is there's still upside on the other side that you can get him for cheaper or that you avoid a potential disaster on the contract. There's not a guarantee he's getting a contract extension here in St. Louis if things revert back to what they once were. Does that make sense? Because that's the other piece of this puzzle is you may just play it through the ARP system.
Yeah. And I would totally get it if that's the way they go. But I think at some point you're going to have to take that risk for the guy. And look, if he does retract back next season, then I think you've got your answer in that position. And that's why you're waiting in this one. But if he doesn't become that and next year's a bad year, well, then we're back to square one of still looking for that superstar that you're building around.
No doubt. And that's you're waiting, and part of the reason that you do is to wait to find out, like, is he for sure that guy? And if he's not, well, yeah, you've now got to find the superstar, but at least we didn't sign him to superstar money.
Yeah.
You know, because that would prevent you from going out and making a trade for a guy that's making superstar money that could be that. So it's a very complicated decision, and I don't think it's as easy as, you just got to do this right now. You've got to do it.
It's just weird because, there's just a comfort feeling of, I just feel like this is who the Jordan Walker is, and the last few years aren't that. And it's not because of the home run derby. It's just because how he's adapted this season. I do think there was a breath of fresh air that happened once they made those switch and moved some of the veteran players out, and I think he has taken on that role.
Real quick, on the other side, somebody on the text line said, guys, who are the disasters that you're referencing here? I need an example of this. It feels like wages are always going up. I'm with Alex on this. On the other side, I'll give you some examples of those landmines that you could potentially end up with. We'll go to that next here on BK and Ferrario.
A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
The weekend MLB doubleheader Saturday. Yankees and Dodgers. First pitch at 7:08. Then Sunday it's Game 2. First pitch at 6:20. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with a daily rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
If you guys missed anything from the show, check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
You can also check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/101ESPN STL. The entire show in video form will be found there after the show today. That is where you can find the Redbird Report and the Last Minute Blues podcast as well. And if you're interested in any sales opportunities over there, you want to get involved with some advertising,
call us.
We have new packages available on both the Redbird Report and the Last Minute Blues podcast. Be happy to tell you about it, talk you through some of the options for you. You can email myself or Alex Ferrario. Hit us up on social media as well. We'd be happy to talk with all of you guys about those. In the last segment, we talked a lot about Jordan Walker, potential contract extension, what that could look like. I recommend going back and listening to our interview with Derek Gould from yesterday. Really great explainer on kind of why this is where it is right now. But somebody asked Alex, what are the landmines? When you say there's risk here, who are some of the players that you would point to? There are a lot, frankly.
Yeah.
I will go to some of these. Some of these are in different spots. Keep that in mind. They're all, you could individually go through them and poke holes in it. But the fact there are so many big contracts that have aged poorly speaks to what I'm talking about here. Manny Machado. He was older when he signed his deal. He was in free agency. But he signed a deal worth, let's see here, 11 years, $350 million. The last 4 seasons, he's been about 15% above league average offensively. Not worth it. Francisco Lindor, huge contract, signed with the New York Mets. He was good with them for about 2 or 3 years, and that's it. Fernando Tatis Jr., massive contracts with the Padres. Now, he was suspended for PEDs, but the last 3 years, about 15, 20% above league average. Corey Seager, I understand injury questions there. A lot of Cardinals fans wanted him at the time that he was a free agent. 3 good seasons with the Texas Rangers. Disaster this year.
Trey Turner.
Rafael Devers, disaster this season and has not been worth the contract. Chris Bryant has run into injury issues basically ever since he signed that contract with Colorado. Complete albatross for them. Vlad Guerrero Jr., we're only a couple of years into this thing, but this season, huge disappointment relative to expectations. I think he'll be fine, but it hasn't been good this year. That is 7 different contracts that have aged poorly, and those are just contracts for the most part that have been signed in the last 5 years, all of which are at $200 million or above. There's risk here.
Yep.
Even when it feels great at the time of signing, you just never know how the guy's going to age. So that would be my point here.
But in all fairness, with I think the Manny Machado one, going through that entire list, I feel like almost every one of those, I was like, yeah, I would have done that. Because at the time, when Manny Machado signed that contract, we were talking about a third baseman, and we would have signed that one happily. Trey Turner, I remember me bringing up, like, I would have signed that. Corey Seager, we talked about signing that contract.
Isn't that the cautionary tale?
Yes.
We would have signed those, and now we would not feel good about it.
Yeah.
And right now, we all feel good about Walker. There's no guarantees in 3 years that you will. And if you feel like if there is a 40% chance that you won't feel great about it 3 years from now, you can't sign the contract yet.
Yeah, I get it. But you also, when we talked about signing those guys, you were looking at it as you signed that because you're trying to win now, and we'll figure it out on the other side. If you get 3-4 years of it to where he is this, and on the back end, it's not the same.
But you already have those 3 years.
Yeah.
They're already there. Like what you currently have, you are negotiating from the point of strength where 3 years are already locked in. And somebody on the text line asked a fair question. Why is this different than the J.J. Weatherholt deal? Because it's twice the amount of money. And because where you're at contractually is so different. J.J. had 2 or 3 years at the front end of his deal that Jordan Walker has already chewed through. Yeah. And so you're into arbitration years. So you're starting at a higher number and then continuing to escalate from there.
And it's also different because J.J. Weatherholt didn't have the 3 previous seasons that Jordan Walker had.
Contractually, it changes everything about where you're at.
Well, no, I mean, like you saw what it looked like, how bad he was, and you were thinking, like, he could revert back to this. You've only seen greatness from J.J. Weatherholt, so I'll pay the money and figure he's just going to get better from here.
He's Alex Ferrario. That is Bradford Bruns. I'm Brandon Kiley. If you guys missed any of the show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. We will be joined tomorrow by Keith Law. I know many of you love him. Some of you hate him. But he's really good on prospects. He'll join us tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about this Jordan Walker thing as well. He's been in the front office before. What would he recommend the Cardinals do? We'll get into that with him tomorrow. We will talk to you then. The Fast Lane is next here on 101 ESPN.
Need more blues talk? Check out the Last Minute Blues podcast with Alex Ferrario, Donnie Fandango, and Jeremy Rutherford on 101 ESPN. The guys bring you the latest news and notes on your St. Louis Blues. Watch or listen to the Last Minute Blues podcast on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com.